well. On the Kennedy, we have delays outbound Cumberland to O'Hare. Not sure what the reason is for this backup. There was some road work in that area that's now clearing. Inbound, the express lanes have just reopened after some overnight maintenance had them closed. The inbound side of the Kennedy is fine. No delays to report on the Eden, the Eisenhower, Stevenson right now. I-57, Bishop Ford just fine. There's still some work on the Adams Tollway. Westbound Elmhurst Road to Bussey, the left lane is closed till 6, and there's a right lane closure, Roselle to Barrington Road. Traffic service of Cabela's, Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world, whether he loves to fish, hunt, camp, or shoot. This year gave him the perfect Father's Day gift, a Cabela's gift card in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and at Cabela's.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Some sun today with a strong thunderstorm in spots. High of 91. An early evening shower or thunderstorm. Otherwise partly cloudy and humid tonight with a low 66. Cooler tomorrow with clouds and sun, high 75, and a mainly clear night, low 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare, 73 along the lakefront. Next news, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Lou Bridges Show. Get foreclosure defense solutions that may save your home. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, big golf day, Amy.
Yes, it is, and it's important when you go golfing that you bring your clubs and your shoes, because I was halfway here and realized, I forgot something very important.
I hope the tour professionals playing in the U.S. Open starting today take your advice.
Oh, okay.
Because you're talking about our station's golf outing.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
I was referring to the U.S. Open. Scott and I were having a conversation before the show about who our picks to click were, as it were, for the U.S. Open.
Wait, Jason Day? Who do you
Yeah, I like Jason Day.
Really?
Yeah, Jason Day. He's ridiculous. His regimen.
He's ridiculous.
How
ridiculous is he, Dad?
There was a teaching pro who talked about Jason Day and watched him for 2 days. He said it was like unlike anything he's ever seen from an athlete, just in terms of the training discipline. Watched him for 2 days in between rounds, practicing for about 5 hours each day after a round. And every single shot he hit had the same setup, had the same preparation, like it was a live shot during a tournament.
Kind of like your game.
That kind of discipline. My game would be 180 degrees from that, as well as my practicing, because it's tough to balance my cigar and my drink with the club all the time. So
now,
it's hard to repeat that.
Am I going to be able to tee off on your face like I did in Los Cabos?
Memories.
Because that's a lot of trust there to allow me to go full backswing and
well, a lot of
right
people,
on through.
A lot of people don't know you're a trick shot artist, and so
Chichi Rodriguez, watch out! I learned that from him.
So U.S. Open starts today. Amy Jacobson plays golf today.
No, Dan Proft plays golf today.
Yeah,
all of our listeners play golf. Our shotgun starts at 2 now instead of 1:30. So hunker down.
Yeah.
So do you want to just go from Bolingbrook Golf Club straight to here, maybe? You sleep in your car, maybe look homeless like I do sometimes.
I feel like a member of Congress who's so underpaid.
Yes.
They have to sleep in their office. I mean, we played from Representative L.C. Hastings yesterday from Florida, complaining about the $174,000 salary, and that doesn't include, the health insurance and the pension and all
and
those
don't they
things.
have drivers too?
They don't have drivers.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
They've got the office that's funded by the taxpayer. So it actually is taxpayer-funded accommodations, even if they are sleeping in their office. They've got the district offices. They've got,
But don't they sleep in their
bribes.
Don't they sleep in their offices by choice? I mean, former Congressman Walsh, he slept in his office. Paul Ryan sleeps in his office.
You're not required to sleep in your office.
No, I know you're not required,
not every
but
member
do
of
you
Congress
save
does.
money for yourself if you sleep in your office, right?
Well, I mean, as opposed to
paying exorbitant amount of rent for a studio.
Well, I know it's a very sad story for all those underpaid
Did
congressmen.
you send those gift boxes and the fruit baskets that I asked you to send?
Yeah, we're
to members of Congress.
Exactly. No, very much like veterans charities. Some people focus on our men and women in the military. Amy and I focus on underpaid congressmen. We're gonna send them care packages. We're gonna do a telethon. We want to make sure that they continue to live the life to which they've become accustomed on somebody else's dime. So
we set up that GoFundMe page too, right?
If you want to participate, if you feel the kind of empathy that we feel for our duly elected officials, then we welcome you to, and you can come up and scream at us at the golf outing about such a silly idea this afternoon if you'd like as well.
Who are you golfing with?
My old friend of mine, Bill Gritsonis, and I don't know.
Bill Gritsonis, all right.
He's Greek, but okay.
You just turned him into Italian.
Yeah, well, and not only that, you turned him into a cartoon Italian person. But okay. So he's Bill Gritsonis and whichever collection of misfits he's put together to round out our foursome.
And I'm golfing with Waukegan Roofing.
Wow.
The whole roofing team, they're going to be with me.
I wonder how the roofing team will fare. I wonder if they play a lot of golf.
I know I haven't. I mean, clearly, I couldn't remember to take my clubs with me this morning.
I would think it would take. I mean, the only thing I would say is they're probably pretty loose, right? They're probably pretty limber because they're working on roofs and they work with their hands, unlike us candy asses.
Well, I've got calluses on my hand. I work the land. I'm the only one who has land on my street. I don't have a mega mansion, so I have a little A-frame, and then so I have land in the backyard.
Urban farm.
I do. Well, we're farming, kind of like John Cass, tomatoes and habaneros. My son always likes to grow and see if he can get the hottest pepper.
Cattle? You got
not
livestock?
Cattle. And those, not emus. What are they called? The alpacas. I had to get rid of those because it was against the city ordinance. I was raising alpacas in my backyard.
Yeah, it seemed to be a little bit of a confined space for alpacas, but
they spun some nice fur for me.
What about
some sweaters? It was good.
Did you have a little lagoon, or do you have a little lagoon on the property with an alligator by any chance?
No, I don't. Hey, but it's too soon. But we're learning this morning that, yesterday around 3 o'clock our time, they found the little boy's body, the 2-year-old boy from Nebraska, Lanny Graves. And also they captured 5 alligators. And they wanted to find out, this is what I love because I was watching CNN, because this is how ridiculous it is. We want to find the alligator responsible for this and do what is necessary to put the animal down. Well, the thing is, the boy's body was found intact. So they captured 5 alligators from the lagoon. Some range between 4 feet to 7 feet. There's different, lengths of these alligators.
They waterboarded them to make them talk?
No, guess what they did? This is what I found out about an hour ago.
They gave the one alligator a deal to turn on the other alligator?
No, we wish it was that simple. They euthanized them all. They killed all of them, round them up and killed them all.
It's a clarifying event.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little, I didn't know they were doing that. I thought they were going to put them somewhere else. But whenever in Florida you have water, you're going to have alligators. And the thing is, their point of contention, the families and a lot of people who visit the Grand Floridian, because it is a very posh, expensive resort. There were no signs up at that resort that said beware of alligator. There are signs up everywhere saying no swimming. And apparently the dad and the toddler were in about a foot of water. And that's when the alligator came up at night. It was at night and just snatched the little boy. And the dad tried, the mom tried. There was a lifeguard nearby, and they couldn't do anything.
What's that sign say?
No swimming.
No bare feet. No, not that sign. The other sign. No fighting. What's it mean? No fighting.
What is it?
So no swimming means no swimming.
I know, but also there's some other resorts. So if you can picture Disney World and all those 27 resorts, it's the size of San Francisco. And there's 7 lagoons and different resorts along these lagoons. And some of the resorts have signs that say beware of alligators. Other ones don't. But the problem is, and I'm guilty of this too, when we stay at those resorts, we feed the alligators because...
Do you feed them children?
No, you sit on your balcony and you throw food because everybody wants to see the gators. It's part of the experience. The animal kingdom comes to you. And other moms were on yesterday.
Disney World, Animal Kingdom come to you.
I'm sorry.
Great Yakov Smirnoff impersonation.
I don't think I'm the only one.
Members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office dive team located what is believed to be the remains of the deceased, a 2-year-old.
And that was after a 16-hour search. They finally, called it off. There's been A Catholic priest is with the parents this morning, as well as grief counselors, and they're going to stay there at the resort until the medical examiner releases the 2-year-old's body.
So are you moving in a direction of suggesting, to borrow from Sympathy for the Devil, who killed the alligators? It was you and me?
Well, I'm feeling a little responsible. I mean, of course they thought the 2-year-old in the water, like, oh, hey, that's some food. And then they realized, oh, I don't want to eat this thing. And then by that way, he had already drowned because the alligator dragged him underwater.
Yeah.
But they need to stop people from feeding the alligators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
know you think I'm crazy, but what's different than any other day?
Has PETA weighed in on this yet?
Not yet, but President and VP Biden are going to Orlando. They're going to be 3 miles away from that. And I have a feeling that PETA people are going to come because they're going to meet with the Orlando survivors and victims' family members and first responders.
And
I have a feeling
that'll be
an inkling that PETA members are going to be there.
That'll be a real treat for the victim's family and the first responders to meet with Ingrid Newkirk, the president of PETA. When you see these celebrities doing commercials for PETA and the modeling, I care about animals so much. Mm-hmm. Just remember who we're talking about. The level of psychosis that afflicts these individuals, starting at the top at PETA, the president, Ingrid Newkirk, tweeted the other day, "Discrimination is discrimination and it's wrong, whether you're a woman or a chicken."
Oh, no.
That's Ingrid Newkirk. Ingrid Newkirk is...
chickens know they're being discriminated against.
Well, it's interesting to compare women to chickens.
You can talk to the animals.
Ingrid Newkirk, you'll recall, has come up with such brain strokes as Holocaust on Your Plate campaign, where they had a billboard campaign and they had a marketing campaign, Holocaust on Your Plate, talking about eating animals. This was about a decade ago. You'll not be surprised to learn the Anti-Defamation League did not enjoy that campaign, suggesting that trivializing the extermination of 6 million Jews by comparing it to what people are eating for dinner, maybe that's a little bit disproportionate. You'll also recall PETA, just in terms of the animal rights activists weighing in on this case as they did the gorilla case.
Yeah.
You'll recall they filed suit in U.S. Federal District Court against SeaWorld, alleging that the orca killer whales were slaves covered by the 13th Amendment. That suit was thankfully dismissed, but so they've compared you eating chicken at dinner to the Holocaust. They've compared the slavery of black people in this country to orca whales at SeaWorld, and now Ingrid Newkirk is suggesting in a profound statement about discrimination that it's wrong whether you're a woman or a chicken. So I just want you to remember when you hear from the animal rights crowd in these cases just how goofy they are, just what kind of alternate universe they reside in. Just a point of order.
PETA did point out that since 1948, there have only been 23 people killed by alligators. Like, well, that's enough for me. And now this 2-year-old boy, so now it's 24.
Larry in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. A lot of people don't remember it. The reason those no swimming signs are up down in Central Florida is back in the 2004-5 time frame, there was a bacterial infection showed up in a lot of the natural waterways. That bacteria could get into your body through your ears or your nose with your swimming, and a couple of people died from it. So that's why those signs are up. It had nothing to do with the placement of alligators.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Larry. And, I mean, it is worth noting the kid was just like a foot into the water, according to witnesses.
6 inches in. And his body was eventually only found 15 yards away at the bottom at 6 feet.
Greg in LaGrange.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good luck today on golfing, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to change the term shotgun from golf because it's clearly offensive.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's definitely going to be a problem. And Dan, I'd like to ask
done.
you one thing.
We're gonna. I'm sorry. We'll call it a simultaneous start, Greg, so as to protect your delicate sensibilities.
Yeah, you know the thing I want to ask you, Dan, is how you combat this whole filibuster argument last night between what's on the terrorist watch list and the no-fly list, because the left never takes a chance to deny people their rights. I
Yes.
think it's going to be a big problem. A big problem.
Thanks for the call, Greg. We'll talk no fly, no buy in a bit, but let's go to Holly and Hudson.
Hey, regarding the underpaid, lowly designated congressman, I'm wondering what you think the threshold should be for them to make so that when they die or are going to prison, they can no longer claim they are public servants. Is that 200,000 or 250? I'm just curious because if they can claim servanthood under 200, I'm just curious.
That's a good question, Holly. I would say, in deference to our betters, they should set their own salaries.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I brought marshmallows, too, for our golf outing.
Text from Steve on 88, is the AM 560 golf outing alligator free? That's too soon.
I know, you really?
That's way too soon.
It
and there is water in Bolingbrook.
Of course. I'm pretty much on every hole, too. That's why it's so challenging. We're not going to have any challenges in the weather department, though. If you're golfing today at the 7:30 shotgun start or simultaneous start or at the 2 o'clock start, you're going to have wonderful weather. It's going to be breezy, a lot less humid, cooler than we're used to. Some sun, some clouds, a high of 74 degrees. Let's get those travel times. I saw that roadway into O'Hare was backed up. Here's Jim Telemonte with more.
You're right, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. On the outbound Kennedy, traffic is slow from Cumberland to 190 and then on 190 going to O'Hare. There are delays. This is because overnight road work was late in clearing. It is now being moved out of the way by workers, but we have delays from Cumberland to 190, then on 190 from the Kennedy to River Road, looking at about 25 to 30 minutes from downtown to O'Hare. The inbound Kennedy's clear, and the express lanes are now open on the inbound side. The Aidens is fine, so is the Eisenhower, so is the Stevenson. But on the Ryan, there was an outbound crash at Canalport. That's now out of the way. Traffic still heavy 18th to Canalport, and inbound from the Stevenson to Canalport, so it's about 18 minutes either way between 95th and downtown. No delays to report elsewhere. Jim Talamonte, Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Flex Execs is a talent recruiting firm who, for almost 3 decades, has helped their clients become more competitive by identifying the right talent for interim assignments or special projects at the mid to senior level. Flex Execs' roster of talent is superior and unmatched. Flex Execs will help you meet your deadlines and goals, control costs, and place the right people who will deliver desired results. Whether you need one person or a team of people in HR, accounting, finance, marketing, operations, or senior leadership, Flex Execs can help. Their clients trust them to find the right people fast who produce results immediately. Connect online with Flex Execs at flex2016.com or call 630-655-0563 and ask for Chris Swanson or Karen Murphy. That's 630-655-0563 or online at flex2016.com. Flex Execs, proud to be a sponsor of Dan and Amy's Business Tour. Flex Execs online at flex2016.com. Flex2016.com. Flex Execs, moving business at the speed of trust.
The U.S. Senior and Women's Open, the BMW Championship, the Chicago Half Marathon, NASCAR racing, the Blackhawks Parade, so many festivals and special events. And they all have one thing in common: Master Fence Rental. Master Fence Rental provides professional fence rental services throughout all phases of your construction project, special event, or emergency situation, along with prompt delivery and expert installation. These are the guys to call when you need to maintain temporary safety and security at your site. Master Fence Rental is ready right now for your next big event or building project with chain link fences, fence panels, and pedestrian barricades that are uniquely designed and built to be sturdy, safe, and attractive with easy installation and takedown. Event planners, show producers, contractors, request a free quote today and get ready to work with the temporary fence pros. Master Fence. Call 866-622-0822. 866-622-0822 or online masterfencerental.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, not to try to move on to more important things than the alligator, although obviously the death of a 2-year-old child is tragic.
Yeah,
but,
it's horrible. And all those alligators are gone.
But talking about the story of the week, radical Islamic terrorism, in addition to that phrase that the President of the United States is unwilling to utter, he's unwilling to utter another important phrase, and so is the left, generally speaking. That phrase, Christian genocide. Christian genocide. I mentioned the story earlier in the week about ISIS burning 19 Yazidi Christian women alive because they refused to have sex with their captors. Burn them alive. Oh. Now there's this. And by the way, Congress passed a resolution declaring what's happening in Iraq and Syria a genocide of Christians. John Kerry made a feint that he agreed. Haven't heard from the president on it. And then there comes from this Christian Post blog. The American Center for Law and Justice took a little look from numbers from the Refugee Processing Center. While the U.S. has processed 11,086 Muslims from Iraq since the beginning of 2015, only 433 Christians. And in Syria, 5,435 Muslims welcomed and 28 Christians. Now, obviously, the Muslim population is a much greater percentage of the overall population of Iraq and Syria than is the Christian population. But also, it should be obvious, these are infinitesimal fractions of the number of Christians that are facing the genocide at the hands of ISIS and radical Islamic terrorists. 433 to 11,000 plus in Iraq, 28 to 5,400 plus. Remember the genocide that the Clinton administration allowed to happen in Rwanda, and how all of them after the fact said it was their greatest regret. Madeleine Albright, it was their greatest regret. We didn't do more.
Right.
Bill Clinton, it was their greatest regret. We didn't do more. I've got a candidate for the greatest regret for the Obama administration, to the extent that President Obama has the capacity for regret.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Rick Williams of Pump Supply agree.
Hi, my name is Rick Williams, owner of Pump Supply Incorporated. As a business owner, I recognize the importance of relationships. I need a bank that understands my business and is able to respond quickly and creatively to the needs of my company. Cornerstone has been a valuable business partner and has helped me grow my company and seize opportunities as I come across them. Whether it's providing a line of credit or financing the acquisition of equipment or real estate, Cornerstone has been there for me every step of the way.
Thanks, Rick. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
Hey, business owners, I want you to stop and think about the one part of your organization that you simply cannot live without. What comes to mind? Your employees, your location, your customers? How about your technology? Let's face it, everything rests on your network running smoothly and efficiently. And that's where Turnkey IT comes in. They understand the value of your network and the critical role it plays in your company. They'll keep your network up and running and resolve any problems so you can focus on the important things. Turnkey IT's team of professionals will respond to you quickly. They won't roll their eyes when you ask them questions or try to dazzle you with confusing technical jargon. So this spring, Turnkey IT is offering a free security audit. Now, even if you have an IT guy, this free security audit will help you understand if they're keeping your data safe from viruses and hackers. So visit turnkey.pro today to schedule your free security audit and mention that Amy sent you. That's turnkey.pro, turnkey.pro. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The Orlando killer Facebooked through the massacre. We'll have that at 5:38.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 70 degrees this morning at 5:32. The Supreme Court might decide today whether it will hear a challenge to Connecticut's assault weapons ban. Connecticut passed that law in 2013, 4 months after a 20-year-old man killed more than 24 children and educators at Sandy Hook Elementary School. The Senate will have a vote on restrictions on assault weapons after a 15-hour Democrat-led filibuster ended at 1 a.m. this morning.
Ask yourself, what can you do to make sure that Orlando or Sandy Hook never, ever happens again?
That was Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who says lawmakers have agreed to at least hold votes on one proposal to ban those on the terror watch list from getting gun licenses, the so-called no-fly, no-buy ban. President Obama is going to Orlando today after Sunday's shootings at a gay nightclub. Gunman Omar Mateen killed 49 before the terrorist was killed by police early on Sunday. The search is over for the body of a toddler dragged under the water by an alligator into the waters of a Walt Disney Resort lagoon.
Members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office dive team located what is believed to be the remains of the deceased, a 2-year-old.
Orange County, Florida Sheriff Jerry Demings identifies that body as that of 2-year-old Lane Graves of Nebraska. A decision on whether to dismiss charges in the latest Freddie Gray-related case expected later today in Baltimore. Philadelphia, about to become the first major city in America with a soda tax, in spite of a multi-million-dollar campaign by the beverage industry to block it. A bicyclist is dead here in Chicago after running into a tour bus in downtown Chicago. The collision happened yesterday when the victim ran a red light near Michigan and Oak. A 46-year prison sentence has been handed a Chicago man for the 1992 murder of an Evanston woman whose body was discovered by her then 4-year-old son. And Naperville police are searching for a group of suspects accused of severely damaging cars in downtown parking garages. 6 men and 1 woman were caught on surveillance cameras vandalizing at least 4 vehicles near the corner of Chicago Avenue and Washington Street. Washington beat the Cubs 5-4 in 12 innings last night. Chris Sale, win number 11. White Sox victors over the Tigers 5-3. The news service of Triton College. Take a new look at Triton College with their award-winning faculty, proven student success, exceptional programs and services, and cutting-edge facilities, along with multi-million-dollar upgrades. Isn't it time you took a new look? Visit triton.edu. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The average Republican voter out there right now is looking for an outsider who will blow the whole damn thing up.
The Joe Walsh Show.
I don't want somebody who comes from Washington. I don't want somebody to get along with Democrats. Not this year. I want the whole system blown up. That's why Trump, or that's why Cruz.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This year, that's where Republican voters are at.
Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. This year, give him the perfect Father's Day gift, a Cabela's gift card in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and Cabela's.com.
For collectors of coins and currency investors, or people who want to check out some fantastic history, make plans to attend the Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show. The show is at the Tinley Park Convention Center next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Admission and parking are free. Just bring your photo ID. This is one of the largest shows in the country, with hundreds of dealers, the best coin dealers from all over the country. See displays valued at millions of dollars, U.S. and world paper money, gold and silver bullion, and a whole lot more. If you're a serious collector, this is a show you can't miss. If you're an investor or just want to find out more about coins, currency, and collectibles, this show is a can't miss. Bring your friends, the family, and look at history right in front of you. The Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show, next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Admission and parking are free with your photo ID. Get more information at chicagocoinshow.com. That's chicagocoinshow.com.
537 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest on the roads this morning with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Things have cleared up on the outbound Kennedy and 190 at O'Hare. Some overnight construction was late in clearing, but it's gone now. The delays are mostly gone as well. Still a little congested between Cumberland and the terminal area at the airport. Edens is fine. No delays to report yet on the Eisenhower. Just a little heavy past Manheim. Stevenson does have slow traffic central to Kedzie. 37 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Bryan, 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound 18, there was an earlier crash at Canal Ford. Brief delays on I-57 inbound. Bishop Ford already a 10-minute delay starting at the 111th. Traffic service of Cabela's Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. Whether he loves to fish, hunt, camp, or shoot, this year give him the perfect Father's Day gift, a Cabela's gift card. In Hoffman Estates or Hammond and at Cabela's.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Breezy, less humid, cooler afternoon with times of clouds and sun. We will top out at 74. Currently 69 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by ProBuilt Professional Lighting. If your job site requires professional-grade portable lighting, choose the Wobble Light by ProBuilt. Visit ProBuiltLighting.com.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, more information coming out about both the Orlando killer as well as what that Islamic terrorist did the night that he murdered 49 people and injured another 53 at that nightclub in Orlando. Starting with the fact that he was Facebooking from inside the club while he was murdering people.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And it makes you sick that he's multitasking. He's killing people. He's destroying people's lives and their loved ones' lives. And he has the nerve to Facebook. But what he was Facebooking was pretty poignant. One was, America and Russia stop bombing the Islamic State. I pledge my allegiance to Abu Barak al-Baghdadi. May Allah accept me.
Who's the head of ISIS,
right. And he made, of course, 3 phone calls, but one was to 911. We talked about that, where he said that the Tsarnaev brothers were his homeboys, and he pledged allegiance again. But he also made one phone call to Channel 13, News 13, and Matthew Gentili was on the desk and picked up that call.
It was at 2:45 when I had just received the phone call of someone claiming to be the Orlando shooter. I answered the phone, as I always do, News 13, this is Matt. And on the other end, I heard, do you know about the shooting? And I said, yep, I'm getting information. I'm receiving some calls right now. And he cut me off and he said, I'm the shooter. And I didn't know what to say. It was, alarming, to say the least. He sounded really calm on the phone, and he started saying that he did it for the Islamic State. He did it for ISIS.
I mean, and then, of course, Matthew, once he got off the phone, he called police right away, and eventually they came to interview him.
Yeah, so in addition to that, he also Facebooked, the real Muslims will never accept the filthy ways of the West.
Ugh.
You kill innocent women and children by doing us airstrikes. Now taste the Islamic State vengeance. Senator Ron Johnson, head of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, has written a letter to Facebook. Apparently there were as many as 5 Facebook accounts associated with the Orlando killer, and he wants all the information from Facebook in terms of his activity. Also, he was searching on Facebook, apparently. This is the Fox News report. I think they had this story first. Searched for Baghdadi speech, searched for a San Bernardino couple, scouted for a post by local law enforcement and FBI. This is according to what Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, told Fox News.
But he also made another phone call to a friend, and we don't know if that's a male or female, but they said that he called a friend and said goodbye to that friend. And they got his electronic or his digital footprint from his cell phone that was it was floating in water, because when the SWAT team went in, I guess they erupted a pipe, and so they were able to dry it out and then figure out who he called and what he was Facebooking.
Yeah, and also just staying in real time that night, the story, New York Times had this, that there was information, including from witnesses that were in the club, that the bomber was about, the terrorist, he was about to put on an explosive vest. So and police say that the killer, the terrorist, told them that he'd strap bombs to the hostages. This according to the Orlando mayor. So that also complicates things, because it goes back to, I don't want to get into it quite here yet, because I want to go to something else the New York Times wrote, but also the idea that bombs. So if you ban one weapon,
right,
do you ban the terrorist activity, or does the terrorist adjust assuming they can't get their hands on whatever weapons they want, which generally speaking they can. But did they just adjust and do something that has as big a catastrophic effect? Remember, Oklahoma City wasn't rifles; it was fertilizer.
Yep.
So the evil versus the instrumentality of evil. I'll say it to my dying day. But the New York Times, after all that you just heard,
about op-ed that they wrote?
Yeah.
I couldn't even make my way through it. I'm like horrified.
So you heard about his Facebook post. You heard about what he said to police, according to the mayor of Orlando, the calls that you just mentioned, including to that one local news station. But I'll tell you what, the Columbos on the editorial board of the New York Times can't piece this thing together. They can't figure out what the Orlando killer's motive was. They just know the GOP is to blame for what happened.
Mm-hmm.
New York Times editorial, the corrosive politics that threaten LGBT Americans. New York Times quoting, while the precise motivation for the rampage remains unclear. This was yesterday. While the precise motivation for the rampage remains unclear, it is evident that I'm not going to use his name. It was evident that he was driven by hatred toward gays and lesbians. Hate crimes don't happen in a vacuum. They occur where bigotry is allowed to fester, where minorities are vilified, and where people are scapegoated for political gain. Tragically, this is the state of American politics, driven too often by Republican politicians who see prejudice as something to exploit, not extinguish. Do you agree with that the Republican politicians who have not signed on lock, stock, and barrel, as it were, to the gay rights agenda, they're to blame for the Orlando killings? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. And also, if you've got any clues in terms of the motivation for the Orlando terrorists, please give the New York Times editorial board a call, because they don't know. They can't figure it out.
If we just sent them this segment, they might be able to figure it out.
Wow.
That he had other motives, and this is not Republican-driven.
Breathtaking. This is breathtaking, but
it's another opportunity for Democrats to bash the right.
Well,
and to make, to try and perpetuate the stereotype that we're anti-gay and we don't like homosexuals. I love gay and lesbians. Am I for same-sex marriage? It took me a long time to get there, but I'm okay with it now. But I used to be against it. But that has nothing to do with the tragedy that happened and the empathy and the love that Republicans feel for the victims and their family members.
I'm not surprised by the New York Times response. I'm entertained by it because, what do you expect other than a Pavlovian response from these leftists who've been coddled since boarding school? And that's what they are. These people live. Talk about the animal rights people living in an alternate universe. Yeah. So does the New York Times editorial board and these simps of privilege. They have a narrative. They're going to stick to it. The facts, logic, decency can all go by the wayside. This is the market position they are committed to driving at all costs. By the way, the other problem, just speaking of people that are off-center.
Yeah. Don't be looking at me.
The terrorist father.
Oh, yeah. I think he's enjoying the limelight a little bit too much. But what's the latest on him, Dan?
Well, he's wanted to get noticed for a long time. That's why he was doing those videos about Afghanistan politics to apparently no great effect. But, I mean, he is really, really tone deaf. You think the New York Times is tone deaf. The real problem, why this happened on Sunday night, or Saturday night? Saturday night into Sunday.
Yeah. Did he come up with an answer?
Let's talk about everything other than the main thing. And we've got a lot of people that are willing to do that, including the killer's father. It's the Orlando nightclub's fault for not having enough security.
Oh, sick.
The life of 400 people depends on that business. So it's easy for them to make money, but they don't want to spend. Maybe they had some kind of sloppy security. That's another suggestion. So I request from the nation that if anyone wants to open up a social club, they should have a tight security, 24-hour armed guard security. If they had a good security, tight security, they would have eliminated my son. That would have been good. We wouldn't have this nightmare and these losses for the families.
Wow, talk about deflecting. That is a sick and chilling comment. And by the way,
he should run for Congress with that kind of logic.
There was security there, an off-duty Orlando police officer who saw him coming in and retreated and then called 911 for backup.
Oh, boy. Tim in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. I got a question for you. Help me, please. I'm listening to you quote that article, okay? And everything that you just quoted, what they blamed on the Republicans, is exactly what the left is doing to minority groups to manipulate them. What is the psychological technique that they keep using? I'd like to know, because it makes me mad that they could write something like that, and yet the people that they claim to be representing they're hurting them, and I don't know how they do it and get away with it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tim.
It's just such irresponsibility.
Well,
it's doing a disservice to politics and as a whole.
A lot of people have bought into the politics of victimology. You know, the identity politics of victimology, and that's what the left has been perpetrating for a long, long time. Well, and you've had a lot of people brainwashed by it, including, of course, the New York Times editorial board.
I had my son yesterday ask me, he said, Mom, are Republicans happy that this happened? I said, who told you that? He said, well, kids at school were talking about it. I said, no. And I saw one preacher online and he was a crazy preacher who's glad that, homosexuals are taken off this earth. But I said, he's not a Republican. He's a crazy. And don't repeat that. And set the record straight on the playground if you can.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Apparently, Omar Mateen was sexting pictures of himself to somebody. A real Anthony Weiner there. But first, here's your forecast. Today, it's going to be less humid, cooler. Perfect for golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. We're going to have a high of 74 degrees with plenty of sunshine. Then tomorrow, partly sunny and pleasant, a high of 82. Any pleasantries on the roadways? How's that outbound Kennedy, Jim Telemonte?
Amy, it's clearing up nicely. Still a little heavy between Cumberland and 190. Some overnight work was late in clearing there. So you're looking at between 21 and 25 minutes from downtown to the airport. It's much better than it was. The inbound side just a little heavy coming out of the River Road toll. The Edens is clear. Inbound Eisenhower. You've got a 2 or 3 minute delay from Manheim to First. Stevenson now with scattered delays, 45 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. To Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 25 minutes, 80-94 to the Ryan. On Tri-State, heavy in pockets from Roosevelt to the Bensonville Bridge. Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Brian Cole. I'm a realtor locally here in Chicago with Catchline Properties. My buyers were actually sellers, and Townstone made it an incredibly smooth process from start to end. My buyer for the mortgage ended up getting an incredibly low interest rate. I make it a point to send all my buyers to get qualified through Townstone Financial. If there is a specific date we are looking to close on, Zach, Barry, and the rest of the Townstone Financial team will go out of their way to make it a point that things will get done and get done properly.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is great. I haven't gotten sick. Everybody around me is coming down with that laryngitis, and it seems like it's all over the country. It's like a respiratory tract infection, and people lose their voice, and then it goes away, and then it comes back like 2 weeks later, and it's worse. I teach in a school. Half the teachers here, are sick. They're miserable, and I haven't gotten sick, and I swear it's this stuff. It's this fruits and veggies I'm taking.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
The sounds of summer from your very own pool and spa is brought to you by All Seasons Pool, Spas, and Outdoor Living. All Seasons Pools and Spas begins from the ground up with creative custom design, expert pool construction, and hardscaping, and then finishes with complete maintenance and care, leaving you to enjoy the of summer. As you soak up the sun poolside, imagine a fire pit, outdoor kitchen, or pergola. All Seasons Pool and Spa will turn your boring backyard into a vacation paradise. No need to go off the deep end. Relax, knowing that for over 60 years, All Seasons Pools and Spas has been making a splash in your neighborhood. Visit their showroom and store for a complete selection of pool, spa, robotic pool cleaners, and premium barbecue and grill islands. A trained staff is on hand to provide water testing, salt and chlorine products, and advice for servicing your pool. All Seasons Pool and Spa and Outdoor Living, 135th Street in Orland Park, or resortlivingathome.com. That's resortlivingathome.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan talking about the Orlando killer, his father, the New York Times editorial. Get a couple more calls in. Tony on the south side.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, quick point. As far as the New York Times is concerned, it's a rag. It's useless. However, my concern here is the fact that people buy into this. First of all, it's not the Republicans. It's not, not passing gay legislation. It's Islam. It's in the Quran. Secondly, as far as the guns are concerned, criminals are going to get guns. All I got to do is go as far as Mexico over the border where Eric Holder dropped off all those automatic weapons for the cartel to use. That's the end of my point.
Thanks, Tony. Sharon and Addison.
Yeah, today I went out passing business cards in suburban Bloomingdale and Roselle, and I see more no-gun stickers on doors, and I guess they think they're doing the right thing. And I agree that the father was deflecting away from his son's guilt, but I think that a couple of companies might want to put in armed guards because those are hostage situations waiting to happen. We are, I think, in World War III, and I think we're going to see a lot more problems out here if we don't really wake up collectively and see what's going on. I know a lot of people who go to work and they couldn't care less what stickers on the door of the establishment they're employed by.
Yeah.
So it's really a stupid idea to do that, but I do believe the father was deflecting, and I can't believe that he did not know anything about what his son was doing.
Well, that's what the grand jury's for. Thanks for the call, Sharon, and I agree. Gun-free zones, the most dangerous places in America.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Some will travel to the extreme corners of the earth in search of inner peace, but you don't have to travel halfway around the world to discover the benefits of the Pink Himalayan Salt Cave. Heal your mind and body close to home in downtown LaGrange at Primal Ocean Salt Cave. For years, the benefits from salt caves have ranged from respiratory improvement to the healings of skin conditions. Your journey to wellness begins when you step into the Pink Himalayan Salt Cave and relax under an illusion of a star-filled night sky. Primal Ocean Salt Cave also offers other unique spa treatments. Experience the weightlessness of floating in the aquascape bed. Feel the deep relaxation of an aqua massage and feel renewed with an ionic detox foot bath. Relax, renew, and recharge. Call Karen or Peggy at the Primal Ocean Salt Cave in LaGrange to make your appointment today at 708-482-2505. That's 708-482-2505. Or take a virtual tour at primaloceansaltcave.com.
The stock market may seem like a roller coaster ride, but your finances don't have to be. You may be wondering, is there another big correction on the horizon? If so, are you prepared, or are you at the mercy of stockbrokers if it happens? Let Online Trading Academy teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times. They offer professional trading and investing education for every skill level. They'll teach you a rules-based strategy, trading on knowledge, not speculation, so you can identify market changes before they happen. Reserve your seat today for a free half-day training course at their state-of-the-art education facility in Lombard. Call 877-OTA-CHIC now. Mention this ad, and Online Trading Academy will send you a free home video study course valued at $247 just for calling. Call now, 877-OTA-CHIC.
I'm on a mission to provide home ownership to fellow veterans. My name is Jack Amberg, a 26-year veteran of the U.S. Army. I work at the Federal Savings Bank, a veteran-owned and operated bank, and I am certified to provide VA mortgages in all 50 states. It is my passion to guide you through the home buying process, structure your loan to fit your financial personality, and provide the best combination of rate and fees to accomplish the mission you give me. At the Federal Savings Bank, we control the process from start to finish as we underwrite the loans ourselves. If you're a realtor, I welcome the opportunity to help you grow your VA business. If you're a veteran, I speak your language, so let me explain all of your benefits. Whether you're a realtor or a veteran, call me, Jack Amberg, your VA guy, at 630-995-5244. That's 630-995-5244.
Terms and conditions may vary, subject to underwriting approval. Banker NMLS number 698289. The Federal Savings Bank is an equal housing lender and member of FDIC. NMLS number 411500.
Hey, size matters. Look to the Italians. They made it happen. The Colosseum, the Vatican, the Tower of Pisa. And Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli Sandwiches. Yeah! Their signature subs are as big as your forearm, hefty and fully loaded with the highest quality deli meats on artisan bread. Their homemade Italian beef sandwiches are sliced paper thin, using their own family recipe. And if you can't choose between the burgers, wraps, or hand-rolled meatball sandwiches, then get them all. Feed your inner rock star. Eat amongst authentic rock and roll memorabilia while you enjoy the soundtrack of your glory days. Or pick up and go. Either way, Augie's offers fast, fresh, and affordable food, even gluten-free options. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Be sure to visit augustinos.com for full menus and directions. And if the party's on at your house, look to Augie's for catering. Don't make it happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, did Donald Trump call U.S. troops thieves?
And then later, no fly, no buy. Will it work and how would it work? But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a man kicked by a Chicago police officer released without charges. A bicyclist killed after running into a tour bus on Michigan Avenue. And Skittles are to be made in Yorkville. Breezy, less humid day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony.
For me, Orlando was a breaking point.
Prompting Senator Chris Murphy to lead a long Democrat filibuster, pushing for new gun control. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the talkathon continued until about 2 a.m. as Senate Democrats demanded votes on universal background checks, including sales at gun shows and on the internet.
Even on days when there aren't a mass shooting, there's the equivalent of a mass shooting happening in cities like Chicago or Baltimore or New Orleans every single day.
Senator Murphy, a Connecticut Democrat, fly list to be barred from buying a gun. Republican White House hopeful Donald Trump says he's planning to meet with the NRA to discuss not allowing people on terror watch lists to buy guns. Dave?
Rachel, senators want Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's help to see all the things the terrorist behind the gay nightclub massacre posted online during the Orlando attack.
Omar Mateen took to Facebook in the midst of his shooting attack inside Pulse nightclub here, posting messages such as, "Real Muslims will never accept the filthy ways of the West," and "Now taste the Islamic State vengeance." Senate Homeland Security Chairman Ron Johnson is asking Facebook and its CEO Mark Zuckerberg to turn over any records they have about Mateen's online activity, and even wants Facebook representatives to come testify before Congress. This as President Obama and Vice President Biden travel here today to meet with survivors and victims' families. In Orlando, Eben Brown, Fox News.
CIA Director John Brennan will testify at the Senate in 2 hours. He'll say ISIS militants keep training terrorists wanting to send more to the West for more attacks. Charges are unlikely against the parents of the little Nebraska boy snatched up by an alligator at a Disney World resort. That's what a Florida sheriff says as beaches remain closed.
During the search, they captured and killed about 5 alligators, and now it's a pretty grim task of trying to match the bite marks and forensics, those kinds of things, to see if they have the right gator or if they need to go back into this lagoon and try to find.
Fox's Leland Vittert, Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Sunny and 70 degrees. At 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. I want to tell you about a beach hazard statement that was just issued by the National Weather Service. It begins at 11 a.m. this morning and lasts until 3 a.m. on Friday morning. High wave actions and dangerous swimming, according to the National Weather Service. Conditions are expected. Wave heights up to 6 feet with strong rip currents, so we'll call it a rip current warning, beginning at 11 a.m. along the Lake Michigan shoreline. Governor Rauner says he's been secretly courting Democrats, convincing some of them to back his reform agenda and spending plans. The latest from Springfield and AM 560's David Stewart.
Governor Rauner says he meets with lawmakers nearly every day to push for a budget compromise, including Democrats, many of whom, he says, back his plans for term limits, fair political maps, and pro-business reforms. But Rauner declined to name any of them.
I will leave it to them if they want to come forward and identify who's been meeting with me, who we've gone out and had, socialized with, and who we've made progress negotiating with. I'll leave that them to decide. I don't want to be the one who's divulging that.
Rauner did say that after the election, he believes a group of Democrats will break with their leadership and vote for what he calls a, quote, truly balanced budget. David Stewart, Chicago.
A suspect seen in a Facebook video choking a Chicago police officer, then being kicked in the head by another officer during that arrest, has been released without charges being filed. Michael Oppenheimer is the lawyer for Shaquille O'Neal.
They made the right move in releasing him without charges. I am asking, and I believe based on the two videos that we have seen, that not only disciplinary actions be taken against that police officer and anybody involved with him, but that there be a criminal investigation.
Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson placed that officer on desk duty. A bicyclist is dead after running a red light and running into a tour bus along Michigan Avenue. The collision happened yesterday afternoon when the victim ran a red light near Michigan and Oak. And a popular, colorful candy will be made here in Illinois. It's a win for the state's struggling economy, and a decision by the Wrigley Company will put manufacturing of Skittles at a new $50 million plant expansion in Yorkville. Washington beat the Cubs 5-4 in 12 innings. White Sox over Detroit 5-3. Chris Sale win number 11. The news service of TGI Fridays. Don't miss Dine and Drink only at Fridays, ending soon. Get a petite sirloin, cheddar mac and cheese, and a glass of Dark Horse Cab, or a juicy truffle stacked burger, fries, and a blackberry margarita. Offer valid at participating locations for a limited time. Valid while supplies last. Some restrictions apply. Please drink responsibly. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes the GOP is missing a huge opportunity.
That has been the great failure of the Republican Party, not to talk about the damage the left does. They talk about individuals, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, doesn't mean a thing. If you support the left, you are supporting the damaging, perhaps irreparably, of the society. I know you mean well, and it doesn't matter.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
That's negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online.
Copy that, QL1, but if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there?
They're out there, all right. I've made contact before. In fact, according to J.D. Power, they've provided award-winning client service for 6 years in a row.
Roger that, QL1. It's nice to know they're out there, wherever they are.
Detroit Control. They're in Detroit. Over.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket. Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
6:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. It's very heavy early on the Stevenson Expressway. In fact, on northbound 55, delays start around 126 and continue on and off the county line. And then it's stop and go First Avenue to Kedzie. An hour and 5 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 45 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound, it's fine. The Edens is clear. On Kennedy, heavy. The River Road toll to Cumberland. 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 23. The Eisenhower's delays. Mannheim to First. 42 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. Ryan, 25 minutes from 95th to the Loop. I-57. Looking at 30 minutes. I-80 to the Merge. Bishop Ford 25. Eastbound Adams Tollway heavy. Elmhurst Road to the Tri-State. Eastbound I-80. Slow Harlem to 183rd. Traffic service, Staples. Staples has low prices on a wide variety of packing, shipping, and moving supplies, both business and personal needs. Right now, a 3-pack of medium-sized Smooth Move boxes is $12. Ends June 25th. Everything you need to move at the right price. Staples. Make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Let's get the latest now with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Breezy with clouds and sun today, less humid with a high 76, a mainly clear night, low 60. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high 82 and a moonlit night, low 60. Then Saturday mostly sunny with a high of 84. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
69 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Live with Andrew Holmes. Get honest answers to your questions every Sunday at 12 noon.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Should there be signs warning, beware alligators?
One of the things that they'll work with the Walt Disney World will work with Florida Wildlife Commission to make a determination what is the best practices that they can employ.
It was at 2:45 when I had just received the phone call of someone claiming to be the Orlando shooter. He started saying that he did it for the Islamic State, he did it for ISIS.
Gun-free zones are the most dangerous places in America because gun-free zones provide safe spaces for killers.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Signs everywhere. Signs. That's what we need. Signs.
Yeah, sign everywhere. Sign.
You know who's saying that?
Walking do this, don't do that. Don't you read signs? I have competing noises in my head.
Take a guess, and I'll give you the correct answer. That's why I'm here.
Blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Tesla.
Oh, Tesla, really?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh. What other hits did they have?
Retaining my title as 80s music savant.
I don't think I've ever threatened to take your title away there.
Nobody has.
I can sing every song, but I can't name the artist or the title of the song.
If I was a little bit more pleasing to the eye, I could have been Downtown Julie Brown. I could have been live from the Palladium, host in Club MTV. Could have been me. But, God did not endow me with
no.
attributes.
God had different plans for you, as they say.
Indeed, he did. All right, so we've got to ask this question. This has been reported yesterday. Did Donald Trump call U.S. troops thieves? Listen to Donald Trump. This is at a rally Tuesday evening in North Carolina, talking about the Iraq War and the money that disappeared. It's what you're about to hear Trump saying is being characterized as suggesting that the U.S. troops were thieves. U.S. troops stole money. Listen to what Trump said and tell us what you think. 312-642-5600.
Remember this. When we got out, we should have taken the oil. I'll never forget some of the pundits. Most of them, they don't have the brains they were born with. They said, they're talking about a sovereign country, Iraq. Crooked as hell. How about bringing baskets of money, millions and millions of dollars, and handing it out? I want to know who are the soldiers that had that job? Because I think they're living very well right now, whoever they may be.
What?
Talking baskets of money and handing it out. Who are the soldiers that had that job? I think they're living very well. That's what Trump said.
Meaning that they stole some of the money, they took some off the top for themselves?
Well, they're living very well. I mean, that's the implication. The question is, who is he referring to? His spokesman, one of his spokesmen, Hope Hicks, said that he was referring to the Iraqis that
took the money.
That the U.S. troops were assisting. Obviously, it was U.S. money. They brought the money. It was U.S. troops distributing the money. Yeah, generally. So then there's one additional step to say, well, to the extent they enlisted the provisional forces in Iraq at the time, it was the Iraqis that Trump was referring to. Well, that's not how 3 Republican U.S. senators took it, who blasted Trump. Lindsey Graham, okay, no surprise. Senator from South Carolina, Senator Kelly Ayotte from New Hampshire.
No surprise there.
And Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan.
Surprise there.
Who is a Marine Corps reservist, said of Trump's comments, start with Dan Sullivan. As a guy who is still serving, I know that Marines, sailors, soldiers, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, 99.9% of them serve admirably. They all serve with honor and distinction. Comments like that aren't reflective of the true nature of our men and women in uniform.
This is why it scares me that he might become president, because he's a little dangerously unstable sometimes.
Well,
I mean, it came out wrong. To me, when you played that bite, it sounded like he's inferring that American soldiers in Iraq stole money. And they're living very well right now.
That's how it's being taken by most, I would say. Certainly most that are reporting it, including outlets that are center-right, not just, John Harwood and the New York Times.
He's got to check himself.
Well, the other thing he's got to do so he don't fall into these traps.
Yeah.
Fall into a trap. I mean, he set the trap, then he fell into it. Is be precise with language, and that's just what he's not. So when he delivered his address in New Hampshire to respond to Orlando on Tuesday, he was precise with language because he was scripted. If you're going to go off into a topic area that, frankly, I think there could be general agreement on, Trump doesn't know a lot about and hasn't spent a lot of time attempting to learn about it, like, for example, geopolitical matters such as the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of waves the flag. I opposed it after I kind of was okay with it then, but I opposed it while Hillary supported it. But if you're going to go off topic and kind of vamp, then be very precise or be scripted, because you walk yourself into situations like this where
how is he going to get himself out of this situation?
Well, he's going to say, look, I was talking about the Iraqi forces, not U.S. troops, of course.
The forces that we trained.
And I'm a guy who raised $6 million for the veterans. Of course, I love our veterans. I love the American military.
They love him, too.
That's what he'll go off on, and it'll be fine. It'll dissipate. But think about this, just politically for a second. By being imprecise with language, he takes the focus off of Hillary Clinton. He takes the focus off Barack Obama. He takes the focus off the failure of this regime to combat radical Islamic terrorism, which is the story of the week and will be the story of the next 5 months in a material way, because he's imprecise. These are self-inflicted wounds. It's the reason that, according to one survey that was out yesterday, Trump's unfavorables now are approaching 70%. And there's, frankly, a lot of people that are not responding well, even though the majority of Americans prefer and place more faith in Trump when it comes to dealing with radical Islamic terror, dealing with national security, than they do Hillary Clinton. They're not his reviews in terms of what he said since the Orlando nightclub shooting have not been great.
No.
Actually, 2-1 people saying they don't like his response to Orlando. So,
because he was so cocky at the beginning. He said, thanks for the congratulations. And the Today Show did a great job of looking how many people congratulate him that, he was so clairvoyant that he foresaw this terrorist shooting. Only 4 people had congratulated him on Twitter. 4. And he acted but you need a surrogate to do that for you. You don't come out and applaud yourself for something that's so, it's the most massive shooting in American history.
Take your calls on this. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line. And by the way, there's still this admittedly long shot bubbling below the surface kind of, can we change the convention rules to try and depose him next month? There's no way that, I don't think there's any way under the sun that happens.
You've got the inside track. You go to these important meetings.
Well, I don't think.
Any hope?
No, there's not. And he won the election. So people have gotten what they wanted. He won the election, period. And therefore he should be the nominee. But he's not doing himself any favors if he wants to be the president. And it's political incompetence to be so imprecise with language that you walk yourself into a problem like that. It really is.
And I know this might be an ancillary issue, but one thing that Donald Trump has been saying for a few years now that really does not sit well with me is taking their oil. I mean, that would be the beginning of World War III, I think, because you always fight over land, oil, or religion. And to steal their oil?
No, not steal their oil. But
he said that.
No.
All right, take, steal, what?
No. but you're right about this is another instance of being imprecise with language because you don't have great understanding of a topic. And Trump, rather than just kind of talking obliquely about it, Iraq has resources, natural resources that are marketable for which they can receive compensation, like oil.
Yeah.
And they should sell their oil on the global market. But part of our agreement, particularly in terms of support, providing security forces, providing U.S. troops, providing advisors, is that you finance your own reconstruction with your resources. And you can enter into an agreement to do this, to do precisely that. We'll assist with the reconstruction and the securitization of your country, the stabilization of it. But you're going to, in a substantial way, finance your reconstruction. You have the natural resources to do it. That's a fine statement. I agree with that, and I think that's directionally where he's trying to go.
That's what he meant?
I think that's. I hope that's what he meant. But of course, it's not what you heard because, as I say again, precision with language. Greg in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Okay, we couldn't complete the week without one critique of Amy. Sorry, Amy, I love you to death.
Greg, we made it to Thursday,
now,
though.
Here we go. Now, let's say Amy just represented typical journalism. Steal the oil. Mr. Pross has just come in with what American journalism needs to do and what the Republican Party needs to do
what
increasingly.
Trump needs to do.
No. Trump is bringing to the equation the American public a level of assumptiveness from the standpoint of a citizen that thinks we're good. The journalistic people are bent on reporting that we're bad. Dan has just gone ahead and clarified it. And yes, would it be nice if Trump were to be more precise? The answer is absolutely yes. But he doesn't bring that skill set to the table yet. No. And he probably never will. So we don't need Sullivan and these other people to jump on board and get his case. We need people to defend him like Dan has just done.
Well,
Greg,
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 not in that soundbite. I'm telling you, a year ago, he was on Fox and Friends when Elizabeth Hasselbeck was still on the show. And he said we need to steal their oil and sell it. I'll find it for you. Well, but I thought
he may
dear
very
Lord.
Well, he may very well have said that, but that's I mean, I don't need to repeat myself. But to Greg's point, if he doesn't have that skill set and he can't learn it,
he needs to get a VP who knows it.
Well, it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Sean in Elmwood Park.
Well, whether it's an effeminate caller or Giggle Stephen Moore, what Trump needs is always someone to clean up his mess, what he intuits. And that's the real problem with Trump. Not that he just gets his foreign policy off Cinemax, because I saw that movie, Donald. It's called Three Kings. You think it's George Clooney living high on the hog? Moron. So we can have the corrupt and stupid of Hillary Clinton or the stupid and corrupt of Donald Trump. And once again, government wins. And I wonder where guys who are going to defend him, what they're going to say when we're living in the Weimar Republic. And in the meantime, a draft is implemented because this moron starts 4 wars in 4 different places. And only the rich kids like him will get 5 deferments because their feet hurt. And the last thing is, there's a golf course in Elmwood Park, for God's sakes. I've been driving for 40 minutes. I don't know where the hell I'm going. Could you tell me where I'm going, please?
Thanks for the call, Sean. Just go south on 55
and get off in Weber Road, make a right, and then eventually you'll run into it.
You'll see it on your right. It's a big Taj Mahal out there in Bolingbrook.
I'm sure the mayor's there, too.
John in Hillsdale.
Yeah, hey, I thought this was AM 560, not MSNBC.
Yawn.
I'm so tired of listening to you guys bash Trump.
John, just hold on a second. Right, exactly. Perfect example of the Trump supporter. And let me tell you something, Trump supporters like John, and we have some others, that cannot hear any cognitive dissonance. You can't have a conversation about him. All you can do is wave the Trump flag regardless of what's said or done. I've said it on the show. I'll say it again. We are not going to do that here. We're going to assess. We're going to ask a question. What did Trump say? What did he mean?
We're going to make him a better candidate, right?
And if you're such a child that you can't handle that, then just bury your head in the sand and wait to see what happens on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. I can tell you, if Trump continues to be a candidate at the level that he's been the last 3 weeks, I'm going to have to revise my prediction that he will be the next president of the United States to say that he won't. And 4 years of Hillary Clinton will not be my fault, will not be the station's fault. It will be Donald Trump's fault. So let's just be real clear about it. And for those people who say, anybody criticize Trump, well, then just leave the party. Isn't that what you're reacting to? Establishment Republicans who said, if you don't like this milquetoast nominee or this milquetoast incumbent, then you should just leave the party. Now you're doing the same thing. Why don't you take a little stock of the hysteria of some Trump supporters who can't even have an adult conversation about this race? It's silly. It's beneath you. Grow up.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, a lot less humid, a lot less heat, a high of 74 degrees for the AM 560 The Answer golf outing. It should be a spectacular day. Tonight, mainly clear, and for Friday, it's going to be even better, partly sunny, a little bit warmer, a high of 82 degrees. Anything spectacular on the roadways? Here's Jim Delamonte.
Well, Amy, that's why we have these big delays on northbound I-55 approaching Bolingbrook. It's golf traffic for the AM 560 golf out. It's really heavy this morning, heavier than usual even. It's really jammed on northbound 55 from 126 to Joliet Road right near 355, and delays continue on and off then from most of the way from 355 to Kedzie, and then it's heavy approaching Lakeshore Drive. Once you get to 355, looking at a travel time of an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, though, it is clear for heading from the city to Bolingbrook. Eden's inbound, little congested approaching the junction. The Kennedy, 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 24. The Eisenhower, 46 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 35. The Stevenson, again, really heavy. The Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Eastbound Adams Tollway, slow Bartlett to Roselle and Elmhurst Road to the Tri-State. Reagan Tollway, slow Roosevelt to the Eisenhower. Eastbound I-80, slow Harlem to 183rd. I'm Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. That's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company that we use here at AM 560, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. We truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. Here at AM 560, we're thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-453-7777. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-453-7777 or visit go4inet.com. That's go, the number 4, I-N-E-T, as in phone home.com.
I have struggled with irritable bowel syndrome for 40 years. Really struggled with it. And I want you to know that since I have been taking Balance of Nature, I don't have it anymore. After 40 years, I'm 75 years old, and after 40 years of struggling with this, and, early on taking all kinds of medication and this, that, and the other thing, back in October, I was able to cancel my appointment with the gastroenterologist. Your products have made my life. They have improved the quality of my life so tremendously. I can't be grateful enough. So please thank you all, and please, if you ever have a chance to, please thank Dr. Howard.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today. CertaPro.com. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about Trump. And by the way, apparently, and Trump is saying the DNC is pretending that it was hacked to release this Oppo file on Trump that was compiled about 6 months ago. But this was released, it was on Gawker before that website goes under. 7 essential arguments that the Democrats are positioning against Trump. He has no core. He's running a divisive and offensive campaign. He's a bad businessman. He espouses dangerous and irresponsible policies. He's the misogynist in chief. He's out of touch. He's an elitist, 1%er. And the 7th strategy prong is to focus on his personal life and even including accusations that occurred during his divorces. So, the DNC has compiled a lot of information. Obviously, we've all played most of this out. I mean, that's the thing. Between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, almost no matter what mistake they make, they can't increase their negatives.
No.
But what Donald Trump could do, and what he needs to do, is increase his favorables. Jeff in Lincoln Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I heard Donald Trump make this statement, plus I heard him make a statement similar to this before. I'm a Donald Trump supporter. Having said that, it doesn't make any sense he was talking about U.S. troops. But having said that, I agree with you, Dan, that, this kind of stuff is totally unnecessary, totally self-inflicted. He needs to stay on message, and if it's got to be a teleprompter, then do it. Why give people ammunition to use against you when you don't need to?
Yeah, thanks for the call,
Because they can't
Jeff.
control him. They can suggest to him, hey, you might want to use a prompter on this one, but then he'll go off script, and he'll look presidential for 2 nights, and then he'll go back to tweeting things, and it's just, he's all over the place.
Well, to be clear, I don't think he was talking about U.S. troops in that bite either.
You think he was talking about Iraqi troops
that
the U.S. trained.
But this is a political campaign. He doesn't get to just do this in a vacuum. The other side is going to make arguments.
They're watching you.
So, being better as a candidate, isn't this the same thing we said about Mitt Romney? Gosh, if he was better as a candidate, he'd be president of the United States. He's a great person individually.
And I trust him.
Lived a great life, but he turned out to be a terrible candidate. And we blame Mitt Romney for not defeating Barack Obama. Do you want to see Trump get better, or do you want to be in the same position after the first Tuesday and the first Monday of November, suggesting, gosh, if only Trump would have been a better candidate?
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Stacy wanted to contact a realtor before purchasing a home in Deerfield. Bad move. Not getting pre-qualified by me before talking to a realtor is like smoking while pumping gas. I pre-qualified Stacy to purchase a home and introduced her to Lauren Shue, my preferred Deerfield realtor. If you're purchasing a home, call me first. I'll pre-qualify you for free and introduce you to my experienced team of preferred realtors who will help you locate the perfect home. My team of real estate experts will always look out for your financial best interest. If you're buying a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License T4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
AM560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Do you agree? No fly, no buy. Take your calls at 6:36.
And the Democratic filibuster ended just hours ago. We'll tell you how it ended. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Beautiful sunny skies, 70 degrees. And a note for those headed to the Lake Michigan beaches, there is a beach hazard warning going up at 11 a.m. this morning, lasting until early morning Friday. Strong rip currents and high waves expected. Nearly 15-hour filibuster in the U.S. Senate ends. It seems to have succeeded in forcing some debate on a few gun control measures wanted by Connecticut Democrat Senator Chris Murphy.
Ask yourself, what can you do to make sure that Orlando or Sandy Hook never, ever happens again?
One consideration would ban those on the terror watch list from getting gun licenses. Another would require background checks for sales at gun shows and online. The NRA is weighing in on Donald Trump's call for those on the terror watch list to be barred from buying guns. Trump said yesterday he'll
In
meet with
Orlando,
the NRA about it.
a terrorist
the NRA
walks
later
into a
issued a
nightclub
statement saying its leaders are happy to meet with
and
Trump. But their
murders
position is
nearly
not
50 human beings.
The CIA says there could
Sons
be more
and
terror
daughters,
attacks as
brothers and
ISIS
sisters,
suffers more military
cut down
defeats.
in cold blood.
Brennan will make those remarks
They
and
did
take that warning to
nothing
Congress
wrong.
today.
They were
President
dancing
Obama
with
will
friends.
meet with victims' families
They were
in
enjoying
Orlando.
music with
the
loved
gunman,
ones.
Omar Mateen, opened fire at
Why
a
did the
nightclub,
terrorists
killing
murder them?
49 there on
Because
Sunday before
he was
being
driven
killed
by a fanatical
police.
hatred.
Authorities
He
say
targeted
Tyler
the
likely
LGBT
drowned after
community
being dragged under by a
because
gator
he
in the
believed
waters
they
of
were evil.
a Walt Disney
Now,
resort
the murderer
lagoon
wasn't alone.
on Tuesday.
Regime and terrorist organizations around the world ruthlessly persecute the LGBT community. In Syria, ISIS throws gays off rooftops. In Iran, the regime hangs gays from
The
cranes.
2-year-old remains were discovered yesterday near where he was pulled.
Too many people have remained
A
silent in the
bicyclist in
face of
Chicago
this
is dead after
awful
running into a tour
persecution.
bus
This week's
near
shooting
Michigan
wasn't
and
merely an attack
the
on
agency
the
that
LGBT
investigates
community.
police misconduct in Chicago
was an
says
attack on all
the
of
city's
us,
police department
on our
needs
common
a policy
values
that
of
prohibits
freedom and
officers from
diversity and
engaging in
choice.
any kind of
Radical
discrimination.
Islamist terror makes no
And
distinction
residents
between
of one Illinois
shades of
community are
infidel.
celebrating this morning
This
their
week
favorite
it was
mode
gays
of
in Orlando.
transportation, the golf cart.
A few days before that, it was
The Daily Journal
Jews in Tel
Kankakee
Aviv.
reporting the village of
Before
Manteno
that,
will
it
hold
was
its first
music
golf cart
fans in
parade
Paris,
this week.
travelers
On Friday,
in Brussels,
the event
Yazidis in
planners
Iraq,
for the city
community
says golf
workers in
carts
San
are now
Bernardino.
part of the
Today, I ask
Latino
you to reach
lifestyle.
out to friends in the LGBT community.
Washington over the Cubs
Comfort
in
them.
12, 5-4.
Tell them you
Sox
stand
beat
together.
Detroit 5-3. The news service of Napa Auto Parts. Get Pennzoil conventional oil for just $3.39 a quart this month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. That's Napa Know-How. While supplies last, General States pricing. Sale prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity lays out what's at stake this election.
The media is ignoring all this anti-American, pro-Mexican flag violence at Donald Trump rallies. I mean, it's getting vicious out there.
There's a lot at stake this election.
If you're pro-life, if you're pro-Second Amendment, if you want to build the wall, you want to repeal Obamacare, you want conservative justices, there's a lot at stake here. And the media wants Trump to lose, big time.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. This year, give him the perfect Father's Day gift, a Cabela's gift card in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and Cabela's.com.
If you could quickly and painlessly clear your psoriasis or vitiligo, would you?
No matter how big the psoriasis is, no matter how small the psoriasis, we can help you.
Ashley is a clinical specialist for X-Track, the amazing in-office treatment for psoriasis and vitiligo that's clinically proven to show immediate results with up to 95% clearance.
What my patients love most about the X-Track treatments is it's safe, it's FDA cleared, and they're seeing results very quickly.
End the embarrassing, painful patches and discoloration with X-Track. There's no medications, no topical ointments, and virtually no side effects. X-Track uses light to transform your skin and change your life. It's covered by all major insurances and Medicare, and will help you find a doctor close by.
I love what I do. I love coming in every day and making a difference in patients' lives. It's amazing.
Call now to live X-Track Clear. Call 800-978-3554. That's 800-978-3554. 800-978-3554 or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply.
Is your balance off due to a head injury? Is your head injury due to sports, auto accident, military service, a trip, slip, or fall? Get back on track. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are conducting a clinical research study and are in need of participants who have difficulty with balance as a result of their head injury. If you're between the ages of 18 and 65, have experienced a mild or moderate head injury over 1 year ago, and now have difficulty with balance, you may qualify. Please visit headinjurytrial.com for more information and to find out if you qualify for this clinical research opportunity. Limited space is available, so please visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652. Compensation of up to $2,000 is available for qualified participants. Visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652.
6:37. Man who has his finger on the pulse of golf cart traffic in Manteno and the entire metropolitan area. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim Telemont.
Thanks, Mike. It's really heavy on 55 northbound. If you're headed to Bolingbrook, AM 560 Golf outing this morning. Got heavy delays from 126 to Joliet Road near 355. The delays continue on and off from there to Kedzie most of the way. It's an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, fairly light. It's 35 minutes out to 355. Delays on 53, southbound Higgins to Beesterfield with a crash. Northbound Palatine to Rand Road. It's a different accident. The Edens is 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 35. The Eisenhower now 51 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 39 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes. 95th to downtown, I-57. 35 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, and the Bishop Ford 25. Traffic service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas. Original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for just $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, breezy, less humid, and a cooler day ahead. High 74, currently 69. Next news at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy, left-winger from Connecticut, took to the Senate floor yesterday, and we're not leaving until we do something about guns. No fly, no buy, assault weapon ban, repeal the Second Amendment, something along those lines.
Yeah, he wrapped it all up 2 o'clock Eastern time, so 1 o'clock our time. You do the math. And no, the assault rifle ban was not part of it. It was universal background checks was part of it. Mm-hmm. And if you're on a terror list, you cannot buy a weapon.
I woke up this morning determined to make sure that this wasn't going to be a lost week. Ask yourself, what can you do to make sure that Orlando or Sandy Hook never, ever happens again? With deep gratitude to all of those who have endured this very, very late night, I yield the floor.
Yeah, that was after 14 hours, and I had a huge poster picture of one of the victims of Sandy Hook, one of the first graders who died.
Yeah, because he's a sentimental barbarian. That's what Chris Murphy is. Of course he did. So he's
Is he up for re-election?
He's demagoguing the issue. I don't know if he's up this cycle or not.
Yeah.
But he, So
now it's going to force a vote, to toughen up gun laws again, universal background checks, and closing in on the terror gap.
Well, and by the way, of course, this is not limited to radical Islamic terrorism, a phrase the administration has a very difficult time saying, because the threat from right-wing extremists domestically is just as real as the threat from Islamic extremism. You know who said that?
Dan Proft?
No, Dan Proft wouldn't say that.
No, I'm kidding.
Jay Johnson, the Department of Homeland Security boss.
Really?
The threat from right-wing extremists domestically is just as real as the threat from Islamic extremism. That kind of moral equivocating is part of the problem. It's why you don't get to solutions or do something. The question he asked, what can you do, that Chris Murphy asked after to prevent another Newtown, to prevent another Orlando. Isn't this the question we've asked after Newtown, after San Bernardino, after Boston, after Orlando? We ask the same question, and we get the virtually the same discussion, at least from the Washington press corps and the Washington ruling class. It's just not productive. It's not going anywhere. And we're not only not advancing towards eliminating or greatly reducing the possibility of another one of these massacres occurring, we're not only failing to do that, we're failing to kind of properly direct the dialogue, properly persuade others into courses of action that could be impactful.
Well, if Jay Johnson looked at the list of white Americans who have had, created or responsible for mass shootings, James Holmes, Adam Lanza, Jared Loughner, they had no political ties to Tea Parties or even alleged right-wingers. They were all just nut jobs. They had no party affiliation. For Jay Johnson to say that is very irresponsible.
Right-wing extremism. I mean, if we're going to politicize this, mentioned before, the Orlando.
It's not accurate.
Well, okay. I know it's not accurate. I know it's wrong to do. But I mean, if that's the road they want to go down, then I mean, Orlando killer was registered Democrat.
Yeah. Did Jay Johnson mention that yesterday?
Do you want? Well,
no.
Do you want to have that silly conversation? I don't. But I mean, if you want to force us into this conversation, you're just going to force yourself into a dead end. This is what I'm talking about. It's the same thing as the New York Times blaming Republicans. I have no idea why the Orlando killer did what he did. Can't figure out what his motive might have been. I mean, the evidence is tall as I am about his motivation. There's social media, there's conversations, there's eyewitness accounts, there's people going back 15 years to describe the Orlando killer's motivation. New York Times can't figure it out, but they know the Republican Party's to blame. Do you really want to go down that road and play that game? I don't.
But now that they've gone down that road, what's the response going to be?
Well, the response should be to focus attention where it needs to be focused, which is on evil, which is on radical Islamic terrorism, which is on policies that actually could be impactful, like, for example, who we're letting into this country and what we know about those we're letting in.
What about new restrictions? This is what I want to see. New restrictions for those being investigated for terrorist ties. If they've been investigated for the last 5 years, they need to closely examine them when they apply or when they try to buy a weapon or ammunition.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask for? I'm not asking for a ban on assault rifles or assault weapons because you know what? With truth be told, if he couldn't have gotten that assault rifle, he would have lit off a bomb and he would have placed bombs all over that place and maybe killed even more people.
Don't know what he would have done. Right. I mean,
and if he couldn't buy a gun, there'd probably be a straw purchase down the road.
Well,
to get a weapon.
I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if things were different. But
something.
But just in terms of the no fly, no buy. Remember about the no fly list? We've talked about this.
Well, I had a person wrongly placed on the no fly list.
We've talked about it. Stephen Hayes.
Oh yeah,
the Weekly Standard, Fox News contributor. He was placed on the no fly list. You know, the due process is what separates us from most of the other countries in the world. I think it's something that we should jealously guard. I don't think it's something that you want to just dismiss because some functionary from the UN says something about gun violence in America. So to deprive someone of their rights without due process, that's a real problem for me. And thus the problem with this, catchy phrase, no fly, no buy. But we know people have been wrongly put on the no-fly list. We know it's taken them a long time to get off the no-fly list because you're wading through bureaucracy. We have no real idea, and the administration seems unable to explain how people can get placed on the no-fly list, including erroneously. It seems like mid-level bureaucrats at Homeland Security can do that. And we're going to talk to former Deputy FBI Director and former TSA Administrator John Pistoli at the top of the 8 o'clock hour more about this. But, I mean, this idea to rush to just cede more power and to kind of turn a blind eye to due process and individual liberties and God-given constitutional rights, I'm not going to rush in that direction. Don't make the mistake. And remember who we're talking about, too. I mean, you're talking about agencies that have proven they are undeserving of our trust in many ways, in many instances, from ATF's Fast and Furious program, to the IRS targeting of people based on their political and religious beliefs, to statements from Jay Johnson and Homeland Security like this, to how the TSA operates its shop. So let's not fall into the trap of private vice becomes public virtue when it's got an alphabet soup acronym in front of it. These are just human beings in these agencies. They come with agendas. They come with varying levels of competence. They come with their own world views. And the idea that just because I say, here's some more resources, FBI, here's some more resources or power, DHS or ATF, that somehow that's some magic elixir, it isn't. So let's not delude ourselves on that any more than we're deluding ourselves about banning guns that look scary, even though I don't understand what they do.
What about this? Donald Trump, though, tweeted that he's meeting with the NRA again today, and he agrees. He says not allowing people, this is what he tweeted, not allowing people on the terrorist watch list or the no-fly list to buy guns. I agree with that.
Well,
is that a problem?
The idea of depriving someone, I'm just make a statement of principle. The idea of depriving someone of their constitutional rights without due process is a problem for me. May not be for Donald Trump. No. It is for me. Kurt in Brookfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I've been in the military and worked in law enforcement. My wife's not from this country, and she'll ask me, why do you do it? And I said, well, it's to protect and serve this country from evil. But then when you have the New York Times attack and my beliefs and say that, the liberals saying that conservatives fault for this instead of what evil's out there in the world, it just so disgusts me with the whole political system. It almost makes you want to think twice. Why would you want to put your life on the line for these clowns out there? But, it's good to know we still do it. But, they're really going low on this type of rhetoric. And I'm the more disgusted every day dealing with places like the New York Times and liberals like them.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Kurt, and for your continuing service. Mm-hmm. Phil on the Northwest Side.
Yeah, I like the way you explained all that, Dan, because you know something, since I was in the unions years ago and I left them and everything else, I've come to realize they create a problem to fix a problem, and I think this is just another example because they capitulate and kowtow to every anarchist group, mafia, and extremist group, and then once they're housed under the Democrat Party, they unleash them on society, and then they want to blame us like it's the Soviet Union. And the American liberal, I think, has now become the new godless communist party of America.
Thanks, Phil. Ralph and I missed it. Dennis in Crystal Lake.
Hey, Dan. Hey, I don't think Trump was that far off with his basically calling out Obama being complicit with this. From day one, this guy has divided the country. He has basically got in bed with the terrorists with Iran. He's promised, I guarantee you, he's promised Mexico his Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California with La Raza. With immigration, he's letting everybody in. He's letting all the terrorists in. This man is an enabler, complicit, and they will find out years down the line that this guy had this agenda from day one.
Thanks for the call, Dennis.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, less humidity, just a great day for the AM 560 The Answer golf outing. Hurry up, first tee time's at 7:30. And it's going to be 62 degrees when you tee off, and we're going up to a high today of 74 degrees, a few high clouds. And tomorrow, even better. Tomorrow, Friday, partly sunny, pleasant, warmer, a high of 82. Any high travel times on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Hi now, Amy, on the inbound Eisenhower. It's slow. St. Charles to the Tri-State and Wolf to Kedzie. Looking at an hour and 10 minutes from Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 44 minutes. The Stevenson delay started 1:26. It's an hour and 5 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40 minutes. Eden's 30 minutes. Lake Hook to the Junction. Outbound 25. Kennedy 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 35 minutes. The Ryan, it's 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow Cicero to 115th, Harlem to Ogden, from the Eisenhower to the Grand Avenue Curve. Delays on the Veterans Memorial, Fountain to the Reagan Tollway, and they continue much of the way up to St. Charles. 53 southbound slow Higgins to Beesterfield, crash on the shoulder. Northbound slow 390 to Beesterfield and Palatine to Rand Road. The crash has 2 right lanes blocked. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. A big day for economic reports, including the Consumer Price Index, Congress being asked to fix a Medicare drug program, Cuomo has a new ban. Those stories are next.
Hey, Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or your 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. But with the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can see them anytime. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. You can trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. Or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
A busy day ahead for economic reports. We'll have the latest consumer price index. We'll have an update on jobless claims and a business outlook from the Philadelphia Fed and May's housing market index, all released as the day unfolds. Congressional advisors calling the rising costs of drugs unsustainable. They recommend changes in the 10-year-old outpatient prescription program managed by Medicare, but most observers doubt any big changes will happen in this election year. Calling it the first of its kind ever issued, New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo issued an executive order that prohibits state investments in any company that supports a boycott of Israel. Cuomo says his order is designed to support the state of Israel. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Dan Proft here. June is Men's Health Awareness Month. Guys, don't put off things you can accomplish today, especially when it comes to your health. If you're like me, you hate going to the doctor, but if you knew your appointment would take less than an hour and that you could feel better and have more energy, you'd probably make it a priority. That's what Low T Center can do for you. They make it easy to get your levels checked. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their in-house certified lab, you'll know your results within 20 minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T levels make you feel tired and grumpy and can raise your cholesterol and weight. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. A Low T Center takes just minutes for results, and their services are covered by most health insurance. Make your health a priority and call Low T Center today at 630-581-5171. Tell them Dan Proft sent you. That number, 630-581-5171, or go to lowtcenter.com.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/try now and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/try now.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mark Weingart, President and CEO of Star Creations, Inc., the fastest growing supplier of wall decor products in the U.S. When it comes to banking, I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. That's why I bank at Signature Bank Chicago. At Signature Bank, every customer is important. I know I can pick up the phone and talk to any one of the decision makers I know and trust at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, they understand and respond to the unique needs of my business with flexibility and fairness. I'm proud to bank with Signature Bank because I know they're deeply invested in the success of Star Creations.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
FlexExecs is a talent recruiting firm that for almost 3 decades has helped their clients become more competitive by identifying great talent. Finding the right people to drive your business results is critical. Flex Talent Finder customizes the recruiting process to meet your unique business needs for full-time positions. FlexExecs' U.S.-based recruiters work to find people that not only meet your technical needs but fit your company culture. They can handle 1 position or 100 at a cost well below traditional search. Flex identifies the people best for you. Their clients rave about the level of talent, fast results, and ease of doing business. Connect online at flex2016.com or call 630-655-0563 and ask for Chris Swanson or Karen Murphy. That number, 630-655-0563 or online at flex2016.com. Flex Execs, proud to be a sponsor of Dan and Amy's Business Tour. Flex Execs online at flex2016.com. Flex2016.com. Flex Execs, moving business at the speed of trust.
Imagine a corporate or group event that's new, cool, and fun. On Target Range and Tactical Training Center offers event packages with instruction, time on the pistol and rifle range, plus a state-of-the-art virtual reality training simulator used by the Army and police. You'll even get to fire exotic and historical guns from your favorite movies like the .44 Magnum.
The most powerful handgun in the world.
With the exclusive 5-star rating from the NSSF, On Target is Chicagoland's premier shooting destination for corporate and group events. No FOID cards or experience are required. On Target is in Crystal Lake. Visit OnTargetSite.com or call 815-477-2020. And right now, On Target is offering 10% off corporate or group outings by mentioning AM 560. Restrictions apply. That's OnTargetSite.com or call 815-477-2020.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
If it's not okay to make the Orlando killer representative of all Muslims, why is it okay to make him representative of all gun owners? We'll ask Gateway pundit Jim Hoft at 7:07.
And Catherine Herridge as well. But first, here's Mike Scott.
Here are the stories we are following right now. A man kicked by a Chicago police officer released without charges. And Governor Rauner warns road projects could stop. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They talked about gun control and kept talking all night.
What we're seeking is common sense.
Cory Booker and other Democrats filibustered until about 2 a.m., led by Senator Chris Murphy.
The American public have already made up their mind that they want a background check system that captures potential terrorists.
Toward the end of his remarks, he indicated that it looked like there was going to be an agreement where they would at least get a vote on 2 key amendments to this bill to fund commerce and justice programs. The 2 amendments, one would deal with background checks, closing the so-called gun show loophole. The second amendment would deal with closing the so-called terror loophole. This is where folks who are on the terrorism watch list are still able to purchase guns, and that would cut that off.
That's Fox's Chad Pergram. The NRA says it supports extra scrutiny for anyone on a terror watch list delaying a gun sale. Some Republicans say none of these measures would have prevented the Orlando massacre. CIA Director John Brennan will go to Capitol Hill next hour to tell senators ISIS keeps trying to send more Islamic militants to the West for attacks. The U.S. keeps going after ISIS from the Mediterranean. And Fox's Simon Owen was just embedded on the USS Harry S. Truman, now live on the Greek island of Crete.
Dave, we were on board the Truman for 2 days, meeting some of the 5,000-strong crew. This aircraft carrier is a big part of U.S. attempts to combat ISIS. The Navy saying the 74 planes on board have conducted well over 1,000 airstrikes since November. But is the US-led coalition seeing enough success? This operation is now 2 years old. The highest-ranking officer on board, Rear Admiral Brett Batchelder, tells me progress is being made and ISIS is beatable, but he can't put a timetable on it. Dave?
Simon, President Obama will go to Orlando today to meet with families of the nightclub massacre victims. This as senators ask Facebook's CEO to help them get access to all the things terrorist shooter Omar Mateen posted during the attack. One of the posts was, "It's time for Americans to taste Islamic State vengeance." Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Mostly sunny and 70 degrees. It's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. And a warning for those headed to the beach today. Beginning at 11 a.m., the National Weather Service has issued a beach hazard statement forecasting strong rip currents and high wave action until 3 a.m. on Friday morning. Governor Rauner says he's been courting Democrats and convincing some of them to back his reform agenda and spending plans, and says summer construction projects may come to a halt unless there's a budget. AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Governor Rauner says he meets with lawmakers nearly every day to push for a budget compromise, including Democrats, many of whom, he says, back his plans for term limits, fair political maps, and pro-business reforms. But Rauner declined to name any of them.
I will leave it to them if they want to come forward and identify who's been meeting with me, who we've gone out and had, socialized with, and who we've made progress negotiating with. I'll leave that them to decide. I don't want to be the one who's divulging that.
Rauner did say that after the election, he believes a group of Democrats will break with their leadership and vote for what he calls a, quote, truly balanced budget. David Stewart, Chicago.
A bicyclist is dead after running into a tour bus in downtown Chicago. It happened yesterday, a collision near Michigan and Oak, as that victim ran a red light and ended up trapped underneath a double-decker bus. A coordinator for Chicago's upcoming Gay Pride Parade says organizers will hire dozens more off-duty police officers than they did last year in the wake of the massacre at a Florida nightclub. Richard Pfeiffer says 160 off-duty officers will work the parade. Last year there were 70. A Des Plaines man is accused of sexually assaulting a teen girl in Niles. Police say Ayub Hanna forced that 17-year-old to perform a sex act last week inside a car, then threatened to blackmail the teen with photos of her taken with his cell phone. Washington beat the Cubs 5-4. White Sox over Detroit 5-3. Chris Sale win number 11. The news service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas. Original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for just $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better, believe it. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It finally feels like summertime in Chicago. The weather is warm, but the news, it's even hotter. So whether this will be the summer of Trump
Hillary is very weak. I think she's pathetic.
or the summer of Hillary,
The Republican nominee should never get near the White House.
one thing's for sure.
We're going to have a very contentious campaign.
The temperature will reach 560.
We need a tough tone in this country, folks.
AM 560.
She can't even handle her emails. How can she be president?
The answer.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over. Copy that, Control. Rockets powering up. Over. QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over. Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket? Please just press the button, Control. Over. Copy that, QL1. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket. Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
7:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. 53 has delays southbound from the Rand to Kirchhoff, the Adams Tollway to Beesterfield with a crash on the shoulder, northbound 390 to Beesterfield, and Euclid to Rand Road. 2 right lanes are blocked with a crash there. Edens is 30 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 28 to Kennedy. Now 40 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, and outbound 50, crash on 190 near River Road in the left lane. The Eisenhower get a travel time of 1 hour and 15 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, an hour from Manheim, outbound 44 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, 1 hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State. Cicero to 115th and 111th to Ogden and 31st to the Grand Avenue Curve. Reagan tollway delays from 355 to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today will be breezy and less humid with clouds and sun, high 76, mainly clear night, low 60. Partial sunshine tomorrow with a high of 82 and a moonlit sky tomorrow night with a low of 60. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Market Overdrive with Carla Mina, a power hour of real estate trends, secrets, and advice. Heard every Saturday afternoon at 1.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Should there be signs warning, beware alligators?
One of the things that they'll work with Walt Disney World will work with Florida Wildlife Commission to make a determination what is the best practices that they can employ.
It was at 2:45 when I had just received the phone call of someone claiming to be the Orlando shooter. He started saying that he did it for the Islamic State, he did it for ISIS.
Gun-free zones are the most dangerous places in America because gun-free zones provide safe spaces for killers.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. What up, Dan and Amy? So, Amy, our friend Milo Yiannopoulos was down in Orlando yesterday, held a press conference near the club where the terrorist murders occurred. Murders occurred at the hands of that Islamic terrorist in Orlando. And this was after Milo's speech. Remember, we had him on the show the other day, and he was supposed to give a speech at Central Florida University that night. It was shut down because police said they could not provide for the security of both Milo as well as the attendees. An increasing problem for Milo in terms of trying to offer a speech on, ironically, free speech on college campuses. So he did the next best thing and held this press conference. And, oh boy, I watched most of what he had to say. He's sort of a force of nature. He gets a lot of things right. You heard him at the top there, that clip about gun-free zones being the most dangerous places in America. Listen to what he said about politicians and the media and who you should understand is on your side and who isn't.
And I want you to take away with you something that we are learning painfully in Europe now, and that is the politicians do not have your back. Yeah. The media does not have your back. People are not going to protect gays or women or blacks or Latinos or any other minority. You've got to do it for yourself.
And he goes on to describe what the social justice left truly is in practice in the West.
The progressive left, the social justice warrior left in America, is the single biggest enemy to gay people, to gay security, and to the well-being of homosexuals and every other minority they claim to represent that exists in America today. Tell them.
You go, Milo. For more on this topic, we're happy to be joined for the first time. One of the most popular blogs out there in the blogosphere, The Gateway Pundit, is the blog, and you should read it regularly. It's one of those must-read blogs. And the actual Gateway Pundit, he has a real name. His name is Jim Hoft, and he joins us now. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you. I enjoyed your Milo clips.
Yes, Milo is nothing if not trenchant and entertaining at the same time. You had a piece over the weekend in response to the massacre in Orlando, in which you disclosed something that not perhaps many of your readers knew. I read your blog a lot, and I didn't know this about you. And it was a disclosure for the purposes of making a point, not for the purposes of wearing this disclosure on your sleeve. Could you kind of recast what you wrote?
Certainly. After the shooting this weekend and the response by, I thought, a pathetic, disturbing response by Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the left, I decided to come out of the closet. And as you know, I have one of the largest conservative websites on the Internet today. I'm regularly linked at the Drudge Report, of course, which is a big conglomerate, very large website in the United States, pushes conservative news and views.
Largest in the world, actually.
Yeah, exactly. For some of your listeners who don't know. I'm mentioned on Fox News, and a lot of my stories go mainstream. I started my website because I'm a conservative. I started it because I'm a patriot. I love my country, and I side with conservatives on 95% of the issues. As my readership knows, I'm a staunch conservative. But after I saw this response to this shooting, where there's 49 gay people and their friends laying dead on the floor, another 50 in the hospital, it shocked me, and so I decided that I would come out of the closet. I made a conservative website because I didn't want to be the gay conservative. I just wanted to be a conservative. But I thought it was a good time to come out and stand in solidarity and to and to say that the gays need to really rethink their positions. And there's only one party today that's going to rescue them from another attack. It's very apparent, very, very apparent. The left wants their answer to this massacre was to take the guns, which puts gays and Jews and minorities and whites and everyone in danger, and it's infuriating to me.
Well, how do you think Donald Trump, if elected president, is going to protect you more than Barack Obama?
Or Hillary Clinton.
Excuse me.
I think, for one, it's been very clear again this week, is that Donald Trump, he sees, it's common sense, he sees what the problem is. I do not believe the left has defined the problem. In order to solve any situation you're in, you have to understand the problem. The left just doesn't get it. It really threatens their core belief system. I believe a lot of leftists today, Barack Obama is a prime example, see that America is the main problem, see that the right wing is a problem. We saw this in his press conference the other day. He's outraged at Donald Trump and conservatives. He shows no emotion at the Islamists who just murdered 49 gay people. So I think you have to understand the problem. Donald Trump definitely does. It's common sense. It's not something that's really deep that you really have to look into. I think most second graders could probably understand the problem at this point. But for some reason, our top Democratic leaders just refuse to see reality today.
Well, going back to things that Milo Yiannopoulos has said, one of the things he suggests about the progressive left is that they're perpetually engaged in minority wars, trying to kind of pit minorities to some extent against each other, but most importantly against the center right, against the people they disagree with, the politicians they want to see defeated, and so they're incapable of passing judgment, making moral distinctions about anything that relates to any one of their constituency groups, because they're just focused on pitting them against people with whom they disagree for the purposes essentially of aggrandizing their own power. Is that a fair characterization?
Oh, I think absolutely. And I think that's why it's starting to get very confusing for the left. If you noticed, I put a post up yesterday from the Mizzou campus, University of Missouri. They had a vigil the other night. And so they have one of their, the left, a lot of leftists organize this event. They have gays there, they have whites there, they have blacks there. And one of the black activists hijacked the event and started spewing this racial hatred. And so it makes it very confusing for the left today because they've gone just completely bonkers. And so then it's just interesting to watch this interaction. To the left, we're not Americans. We're the little separate groups. And, it never has appealed to me in any way, shape, or form. And I know today that at least 25% of the gays vote for Republican. That's more than, the black community, the Jewish community. And I think this year it's going to be much higher, especially this morning after we see the news of more threats against gay clubs around the country, Orlando-style threats.
Well, and
so we'll see.
Yeah, and the thing about this, just continuing on this line for a minute. So what the implicit argument of the left is that the Orlando shooter certainly doesn't represent all Muslims. And I agree, he doesn't represent all Muslims. But he does represent all gun owners, because gun owners are not part of their constituency. So it's okay to cast them in that light, but it's not okay to talk about to even utter the phrase, talk about radical Islamic terror, to spend any time discussing Christian genocide in Iraq and Syria, because it's not part of their constituency coalition.
I think you nailed it. And, you're absolutely right. I was just so shocked when the writing is right on the wall in front of your face and you're not able to see it like the left did after this attack, this vicious, bloody attack. It's very disturbing. So these people should not be in power, the Democrats. We've seen what they've done. We see today that Jay Johnson, the Homeland Security Director, is saying that right-wing extremists are just as dangerous as these Islamists. I mean, how offensive.
I know. He's not even, he's trying to rewrite history. So one of the things that this monster, this beast did while he was slaying people was take some time to Facebook. And he wrote a few things, but one thing that really is concerning to a lot of Americans, he wrote, in the next few days, you will see attacks from the Islamic State in the USA. Do you believe that he was working alone, or do you believe that he's some part of bigger network?
It's hard to tell. I think we saw, like in Paris, the Islamists were communicating on different channels that we didn't realize that they were able to, communicate that way, secret channels with, what was it, Atari or some, computer games or something. So do we know exactly what his contacts were? I don't think we know that right now. But we have seen some similar threats in the last few days, including the one in San Diego this morning.
I want to go to another line of argumentation that's been offered by the left, and perhaps most specifically, perhaps the best example, Anderson Cooper with Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, where he essentially suggests if you weren't supportive of gay marriage redefinition, then it is hypocritical to be concerned and to express condolences to gay people who were murdered in Orlando, and that others on the left go even further to suggest, like the New York Times did in their editorial yesterday, that being opposed to particular positions on social issues that were advanced by gay people and Democrats is essentially set the table, the corrosive politics that set the table for a massacre like that happened over the weekend in Orlando. David French writes about this in National Review, I think very persuasively, suggesting that the left's bigotry runs in two ways. American Christians are responsible for things they don't believe, and Sharia-observant Muslims aren't responsible for the things they do believe.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's I've never bought that line that I can't speak out on race issues because I'm white, or I can't, or heterosexuals can't speak out against, gay issues because they're heterosexual. I just don't buy that. The left, that's one of it's one of the weapons they use. It's a club to beat the working people, the Christians, the rest of us over the head with. And I just think it's crap. I thought I saw part of that interview with Pam Bondi, and I think it was reprehensible. I don't agree with Anderson at all. And for him to bring that in at that time was just classless.
He is Jim Haft. He's Jim Hoft. He is Class E. The website is The Gateway Pundit, thegatewaypundit.com. Must read, one of the most highly read, highly trafficked conservative blogs out there. Must read blog. Jim, thanks so much for joining us, sharing your thoughts. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Some thick clouds right now, but no rain in the forecast, and we'll have some sunshine off and on throughout the day, a high of 74 degrees, a little breezy too, but a lot less humid than we're used to. And then tomorrow, partly sunny, pleasant, a high of 82 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. On northbound 355 and 53, we're seeing delays most of the way from Boughton Road up to Beesterfield, where there was an earlier crash. Then northbound 53 is slow Euclid to Rand. The crash to the two right lanes, and southbound it's heavy as well. After an earlier crash, we see delays from Kirchhoff most of the way to 290. Edens, 30 minutes either way between Lake Hook and Montrose. The Kennedy, 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's now an hour, 35 minutes to get to Montrose. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, 55 minutes. The Stevenson, looking at an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 45 minutes. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-States, though, Cicero most of the way to Ogden and 31st to the Grand Avenue curve. The other tollways are pretty heavy, too. I'm Jim Talamonte, Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Here is the hottest concealed carry deal available. Right now, while supplies last, Schrank's Smoke and Gun is offering this amazing deal in honor of our listeners. It's the Summer Shield deal. For only $560, you get a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield with or without manual safety, plus an exclusive Schrank's Smoke and Gun Smith & Wesson range bag, 4-in-1 holster, 4 boxes of Federal Range ammo, and your choice of Birchwood Casey Shoot NC targets. It's a great discounted deal. Schrank's also carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles, plus full gunsmith services, so plan ahead for hunting season. And if you love cigars, check out Schrank's Humidors. So don't miss this Summer Shield deal. Visit smoketheletterN.gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrank's Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is great. I haven't gotten sick. Everybody around me is coming down with that laryngitis, and it seems like it's all over the country. It's like a respiratory tract infection, and people lose their voice, and then it goes away, and then it comes back like 2 weeks later, and it's worse. I teach in a school. Half the teachers here, are sick. They're miserable, and I haven't gotten sick, and I swear it's this stuff. It's this fruits and veggies I'm taking.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today, CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, you
didn't like that question?
A little bit locally, a little bit of local politics. Gary McCarthy's emails coming out,
Oh, yeah, I've been reading them. They've been trickling out
for
a few days now.
And you'll recall McCarthy none too happy with Tiny Dancer after he was relieved from his position, unlocked from his job, as the Obama regime might say. And one of the things McCarthy said, this from our friend John Cass of the Chicago Tribune, the termination letter sent to McCarthy via email was signed by the mayor's chief of staff, not the mayor.
Of course not.
McCarthy forwarded the letter to his wife with the comment, he didn't even have the balls to sign it himself. So he's not just missing half a finger. He's missing the family jewels. No wonder he kept that wedding dress at home.
John Cass wrote, this is great, I'm reading from it. Most of Chicagoans know the legend of Mayor Rahm Emanuel's missing digit, the one he lost years ago at an Arby's. But what about those twin attributes that make a mayor a man? They don't sell those at Arby's, do they? And he went on to explain
yes,
what McCarthy said to his wife, saying, he didn't even have the cojones to sign the letter himself. But that doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me either because
they're friends, and then he didn't want to upset their friendship, rock the boat, and he was scared. He didn't want
friends.
Yes.
Rahm doesn't have friends. He has associates. He has aligned interests. He doesn't have friends. This is a one-dimensional human being. And Gary McCarthy, was suckered by Rahm. He's out there, if you recall, he was out there saying, I'm not going anywhere. This was in the wake of the Laquan McDonald. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm digging in, and here's what we did. And the next day he's fired. So he made McCarthy look foolish.
Well, he made him a scapegoat, yeah.
Well, correct. And he made him look foolish because people are just the means to Rahm Emanuel's political ends. This is one of the hallmarks of the left, particularly the craven, power-mad left in this city, in this state. This is the model. And it also goes to something else, because remember how Rahm was presented to us by the Chicago media, the Chicago press corps, who took the line from Rahm when he arrived, descended down from the Obama regime to come rescue
or
Chicago from itself. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a coronation. And you know what he is? He's a little coward. Punk.
Right,
He's a nothing.
And if you look at the facts, McCarthy didn't suppress the McDonald video. That was the mayor's choice. McCarthy didn't cut a $5 million deal with McDonald's family to settle, but he was fired.
McCarthy's a hack, too. McCarthy was a politician. He was a water boy for the regime, the Tiny Dancer regime, for the time he was there. I have no sympathy for McCarthy.
But he was out there, remember, on the front lines of NATO screaming like Mike Ditka, ordering calls.
Then he was crying at how wonderfully he was just another politician in Chicago. That's what McCarthy was. McCarthy came to town. What's the first thing he did? He was talking about Sarah Palin and guns. Just another hack politician from the East Coast. Very much wanted to be a big tough guy, and he got pushed around and made to look foolish by the simp, the little boy on the 5th floor in City Hall. Yeah, exactly. All these tough guys, all these tough Democrats that we should be so intimidated by, that are going to do the difficult things to make the city that works work.
Okay, Mark Conkle.
What a joke. What a joke. Anybody who voted for Rahm, especially the second time around, continues to support this regime and all these diminutive little Chicago feudal lords. You're pathetic.
Yeah.
I own that. Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them.
Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company.
Through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
Hey, like all parents, I'm always looking for something fun to do with the kiddies, and I have a great suggestion. Donley's Wild West Town. It's a Western theme park. Just a short drive, from Chicago. It's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. One admission fee includes everything. It's fun that everyone in the family can experience together, and there's nothing else like it. Rides, attractions, panning for gold, shooting slingshots, a Wild West show that is amazing. There's a museum that's fantastic, a petting zoo, great food, and a lot more. Parents, grandparents, kids, everyone will enjoy a day together at Donley's Wild West Town. It's interactive family fun. So check out the details at wildwesttown.com. That's wildwesttown.com. And what a great outing for groups like daycares, church groups, really anybody. Donley's Wild West Town, open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wild West Town. It's good old-fashioned family fun. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The latest on the Orlando killer and his family members, particularly with that grand jury convene looking into his wife and potentially his father. We'll get that from Catherine Herridge, Fox News at 7:37.
But first, back into the newsroom we go. Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, and it's Florida again. A massive search this morning for 3 college students missing in the Everglades. They're from Florida International University. 2 are foreign exchange students. They have not been heard from. New wildfire in Arizona forcing people out of their homes. Adam Wolf is with Navajo County Emergency Management. Says the fire is close to populated areas.
That's what has made this situation so unique and why, the pre-evacuation notices have gone out so quickly.
It's called the Cedar Creek Fire. It's burning in eastern Arizona near Show Low. Filibuster aimed at toughening the nation's gun laws is over. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy launched his hours-long speech on the Senate floor.
Deep gratitude to all of those who have endured this very, very late night.
I yield the floor.
Murphy says there is some agreement on a vote on a law that would stop suspected terrorists from legally buying guns and requiring background checks on most or all gun sales. The U.S. Senator wants Facebook to turn over information from Orlando terrorist Omar Mateen's accounts. Senate Homeland Security Chairman Ron Johnson of Wisconsin is writing to the Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg after learning that Mateen posted about ISIS before and during his attack that killed 49 in a gay nightclub. Florida authorities say they've recovered the body of a toddler dragged by an alligator into the waters at a Walt Disney Resort. 2-year-old Lane Graves was wading in shallow water when the gator grabbed him and pulled him under. In Chicago, a bicyclist is dead after running into a tour bus in downtown Chicago. Police say the collision happened yesterday when the victim ran a red light near Michigan and Oak. Chicago transportation officials say emergency repairs caused big delays during rush hour on Lakeshore Drive. Crews were called out when concrete buckled near 47th Street because of the extremely hot weather. And Naperville police are searching for a group of suspects accused of damaging cars in a downtown parking garage. Authorities say 6 men and 1 woman were caught on surveillance camera video last month vandalizing vehicles near Chicago Avenue and Washington. Nationals over the Cubs 5-4-12, while the White Sox beat Detroit 5-3. The news, a service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's has 3 stuffed crust pizzas now, original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A court ruled that a Catholic school could not hire a gay person.
The Joe Walsh Show.
If you've gotten to a place in this country where the government can tell a church who to hire and who not to hire, you're in a bad place. We're totally upside down.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you not understand that?
Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. This year, give him the perfect Father's Day gift, a Cabela's gift card in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and Cabela's.com.
Are you in foreclosure, behind in the mortgage, underwater with a mortgage? Well, you'd be not alone. In fact, there's 20 million other American families in the same boat as you. And this came about not because these families decided to commit bank fraud, because they were the victims of fraud by the Wall Street investment bankers and the banks that now service the mortgages. But there are some things you do. My partner, I'm Lou Bridges, my partner Scott O and I have put together a firm, a team of people to help people like you. We apply for modifications, we defend a foreclosure, we apply a restructuring, we explore a short sale, and investors who may buy the home and lease it back to you. But whatever your objectives are, you need to have a competent legal counsel. But whatever you do, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you will never be alone. Call us for a free consultation.
Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com.
7:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has delays all the way in. It's 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 20 from Montrose. Outbound 35 minutes to Montrose, an hour to the airport after an earlier crash on 190. Edens is 30 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 55 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to the Loop. Tri-State Tollway, the delays are northbound from Cicero to Ogden and 31st to the Grand Avenue curve. Spot Adams Tollway, still Bartha to Roselle. Reagan Tollway, 59 to 355, and Myers to Tri-State. 53 has delays in both directions. Earlier, southbound crash at Feasterfield, northbound at Rand. Traffic service, Napa Auto Parts this month. Mobile One full synthetic oil is only $5.99 a quart at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. That's Napa know-how. While supplies last, General States pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Breezy and less humid today. Clouds and sunshine mixed, high 74. Currently sun and 70 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, a lot of new information coming out on a daily basis, thanks to the work of journalists, and chief among them is the chief intelligence correspondent for Fox News, our friend Catherine Herridge, the best in the business, and she joins us now. Catherine, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks as always for having me.
And so a couple of things we learned yesterday, the Facebook posting while the massacre was going on by the Orlando killer. The father continues to talk to the media, incredibly, frankly, given what he has to say. And I wonder what you can tell us from your work about where that grand jury that was convened to look at the wife currently stands, and is the father also a target of investigators?
What I know through my reporting is that the wife has been interviewed at least twice, and that she has been cooperating and providing information about what she knew in advance about the plot and what she knew about the weapons purchases. And there's also videotape of her at an ammunition store with her husband buying ammunition, and it's well understood that she helped at least once with the surveillance. So this on its face would certainly be significant evidence toward a charge of what's called a murder as an accessory, or attempted murder as an accessory. So your actions were done in furtherance of a conspiracy. I'm not sure whether they're going to go down that route because of the level of cooperation that she's providing, because the FBI is trying to understand whether there may be a broader network at play here. I know through my reporting they're trying to fully understand the wife's contacts, which is why we saw the FBI visiting her family out in California as well. So I think it's early to have a good handle on what path they may go down. A sort of a lesser charge would be material support for a terrorist organization, which is can sometimes be as basic as posting social media propaganda on behalf of the group. But it's final point, it's very tricky in these situations where you have couples. If you think back to the Boston bombers and Tamerlan Tsarnaev and his wife, they were building bombs in the kitchen, but she maintained that she didn't really understand exactly what they were doing.
Right. And the father in the Orlando case?
I can't really tell you the extent to which he may or not be looked at by the FBI, except to say that it would be standard practice to understand all of the immediate contacts. He was raised at the session we had with the FBI director here in Washington earlier this week, and his sympathies with the Taliban. But the FBI director said on the record at that time that they had not found any derogatory information about the father.
Well, back to the wife. I mean, when he left Saturday night, she asked him where he's going. She begged him not to do anything. Why didn't she call police? I mean, can't she be charged somehow with that, knowing that he was going to go commit a mass murder, and she didn't forewarn the police?
Well, this would be part of this would probably fall into the bucket of conspiracy to murder or conspiracy to attempted murder. There is, I think it's a misdemeanor charge for not alerting if you have knowledge of a felony. But this is so low down the totem pole, if you will. Mm-hmm. I think there are possibly more serious charges for her. But again, it's going to be. I mean, we just have such a little narrow window into what's happening between the wife and the FBI. I think we want to be careful, right?
Yeah.
About convicting someone in the public square before we really know all of the facts. The thing that really jumps out at me now is that you can see from his activities that the level of premeditation was very, very deep. We know about the surveillance in advance of the weapons purchases. We know about the ammunition. It now seems about 3 weeks out from the attack. But if you look at how events unfolded during the massacre, you see that he had done research to program into his phone the local TV station, right?
Yeah.
And so just to back up a little bit, there are always three components to a successful plot like this one. There's the mission, the plot itself, if you will. There's the capability of the operative. Do they have the weapons training, in this case, to execute the plot? And the third piece, which in the mind of a group like ISIS is the most significant, is the media propaganda piece, right? So you got a guy who is on social media pledging allegiance to ISIS. He's phoning a TV station. He's doing everything possible to broadcast his message to the world that he's acting on behalf of ISIS and that the U.S. and the coalition has to stop bombing his country. Some people thought that meant Afghanistan because of where his family is from, but this is clearly a reference to the caliphate in Iraq and Syria.
I want to go back to the second component that you mentioned, the training, and questions about his 2 trips to Saudi Arabia, one of which apparently included luxury accommodation. So, how, questions about how that was financed. Do we know any more about those trips? And the obvious question about were those trips a predicate to get the training to execute a terrorist attack like he did?
I don't want to give your listeners bad information. I don't have more information that suggests during those trips that he had additional training on those trips. Those trips, to me, at least on their face, seem to be more evidence that he was becoming more and more devout in his faith. And at this point, sort of 2013, 2014, he was also identified as someone in the Eastern Florida Mosque as an individual who was on the path to radicalization to the FBI in that second investigation. And he was already watching the videos of Anwar al-Awlaki, who was the American cleric who was targeted for death by the CIA in 2011. And I can tell you that Anwar al-Awlaki and watching his videos and his sermons online is a common thread that we saw with this case, with the Tsarnaev brothers, also with the San Bernardino shooters, and at the Fort Hood massacre, because quite frankly, nobody watches these videos for professional or self-improvement. They only watch it for one reason, and it's like having a flag on your front lawn that says, I am going to blow myself up.
What about his relationship, speaking of blowing himself up, the first American to be a suicide bomber in Syria? What was his relationship with him and the mosque?
Well, we reported earlier this week that the FBI has given a second look at this relationship. This was an American man, Palestinian descent. He worshipped at the same mosque as Omar Mateen. And in 2014, he became the first American to blow himself up on behalf of al-Qaeda in Syria. He was attacking Syrian government forces. The FBI director said that when they first looked at this relationship, they thought it was just a casual acquaintance and that it was not a meaningful relationship. But our contacts have said that since Orlando, they have gone back and they believe that the relationship between the two men was much deeper and more significant. And I just want to remind you of something that's going to really ring true. In the 911 calls, remember, he pledged allegiance to ISIS. He expressed solidarity with the Tsarnaev brothers, the Boston bombers, and he expressed solidarity with his friend from the mosque who blew himself up in Syria. Okay? So one of the last things he does is he directly links himself with his friend from the mosque who blew himself up in Syria. I mean, this was a more meaningful relationship, and you can see the radicalization of that association.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to that point, and to the FBI briefing you mentioned you recently attended, Jim Comey earlier in the week, the FBI director said, based on what we know when he was speaking at the time, this is 48 hours ago, there was nothing we did that was wrong or that we could have done better effectively, is what he said. I wonder, in light of a lot of the information that's come out now about the Orlando killer, I mean, going back 15 years, fifth grade classmates, and suggestions that he celebrated the 9/11 attacks that far back. I wonder now if Jim Comey believes the same thing, since the FBI essentially had 2 cracks at this guy and missed him.
Right. That first FBI investigation was an extremely robust investigation. They really took every tool that they have, and they used it. They employed informants, They got the ability from the courts to read all of his emails, his phone calls. They did surveillance, physical surveillance of the subject over a 10-month period. They interviewed him twice in person, and there still was not enough evidence to bring a criminal charge against him. And that is the standard that they are held to. On the second go-round, when he was flagged as someone who was getting radical and someone who was following the American cleric, that really was an opportunity to say, hey, maybe we need to reopen something on this guy. But as strange as it seems, the speech of the American cleric, which espouses jihad and destruction of the West, is in effect protected speech on the internet. And so in defense of the FBI, they threw every tool they had at him, and he washed out after 10 months. And they don't have the resources to leave everyone in this situation, under surveillance for an indefinite period. And I'm not sure that that's what people want in this country. But I think one of the questions we have to be asking is, after that investigation closed in 2014, there were a lot of red flags with this guy, especially for people who were close to them, and especially the wife, the second wife, and nobody picked up the phone. So I think you got to be asking that question very hard, too.
She is Catherine Harris, Chief Intelligence Correspondent for Fox News Channel. Catherine, thanks as always for joining us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to have you on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, a mom who says something startling. But first, here's your forecast. A mix of clouds and sun today, breezy, a lot less humid, a high of 74 degrees. And then tomorrow, actually, we have a string of beautiful days. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's going to be sunny, comfortable, highs in the low 80s. Let's get those travel times. Any comfort on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
It's pretty rough sledding, Amy. Northbound 355 and 53. We're seeing delays from I-55 up to Biesterfield after an earlier crash. Then slow on 53 Euclid to Rand, where a crash moved to the right shoulder. Southbound delays are from Algonquin to 290. Very slow going on eastbound I-80 from LaGrange Road to 183rd after a crash. Edens is 30 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy, 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown outbound 55. The Ike, an hour and 10 minutes either way between Thorndale and downtown. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Tri-State southbound, slow 176 to 60. Northbound, Cicero to Ogden, and from 31st to the Grand Avenue curve. Lakeshore Drive northbound, we're seeing delays approaching Hyde Park Boulevard with a crash in the two right lanes. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Is your balance off due to a head injury? Is your head injury due to sports, auto accident, military service, a trip, slip, or fall? Get back on track. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are conducting a clinical research study and are in need of participants who have difficulty with balance as a result of their head injury. If you're between the ages of 18 and 65, have experienced a mild or moderate head injury over 1 year ago, and now have difficulty with balance, you may qualify. Please visit headinjurytrial.com for more information and to find out if you qualify for this clinical research opportunity. Limited space is available, so please visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652. Compensation of up to $2,000 is available for qualified participants. Visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652.
Cutting edge. That's a concept companies strive to achieve in the world of custom packaging, design, and vendor-managed inventory. Infinity Packaging is the cutting-edge leader. If your company is cutting edge, then Infinity Packaging is your best choice. From stock and custom corrugated boxes and mailers to film, bags, tubes, labels, and specialized inserts, no packaging challenge is too cutting edge for Infinity. Plus, a high level of service and customer contact and multiple warehouse locations truly make Infinity Packaging a premier packaging and warehousing leader nationwide. You'll receive the benefits and savings of big company purchasing power with the advantages of a small company approach to service. To learn more or schedule your company's packaging analysis, call Infinity Packaging at 847-786-2002 or visit infinitypkg.com. That's 847-786-2002 or online at infinitypkg.com. Infinity Packaging, the cutting-edge leaders in custom packaging, design, and warehousing.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking to Catherine Herridge about the mosque that the Orlando terrorists attended. Well, Greta Van Susteren on Fox talked to Imam Abu Tawbah.
Nice pronunciation.
Who was apparently a gangbanger in New York before he moved to Florida and became an Islamic imam.
Really?
Now he disputes this, but the allegation is that the Orlando killer attended some of Imam Abu Tawbah's classes. And want to give you a little selection of what the imam that may have had a connection to the Orlando killer thinks. On the matter
he couldn't
of,
answer the question whether or not he taught him in one of his classes?
He disputes it.
Oh, okay.
On the matter of stoning as an appropriate punishment for adultery.
What I do not condemn is the concept that stoning is an inappropriate punishment for adultery, because we find in the Quran and in the Sunnah that we stone for a person who is an adulterer, meaning has been married.
So just stoning women, right? Not men who are adulterers?
He says both, but I think the focus is women. Then what about Hillary Clinton for president?
Hillary Clinton, as a Muslim, I object to Hillary Clinton. No, I don't believe a woman should be the president of a nation. As our Prophet ﷺ, he taught us that whenever a woman is in charge, there's going to be problems. What if she's on her menses and it's time to go to war? She's going to press the button because she's angry? You know? I don't believe that she should be put in that position.
Sick.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile. And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Many people think the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians is a conflict over a piece of land, but it's about much more than that. Fundamentally, it's a conflict between two perspectives on how human beings should live and treat each other. On one side, you have Israel, which, like other Western nations, respects the rights of its people to pursue their own lives and happiness, speak their mind, and keep their property. On the other side is Palestine, which systematically oppresses its population, including women, gays, and other minority groups, using violence to silence free speech. I am proudly pro-freedom, and that's why I stand for Israel. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Oh, by the way, that imam should know that Hillary Clinton stopped menstruating years ago. It's called menopause, okay, buddy?
I think you're missing the imam's point.
I know, but I mean, please. All right, well, let's get sentimental. think about how much your father means to you. Hey, Father's Day is Sunday, and it's not too late to give your dad, a great gift of sleep. And there's health reasons why you should choose a MyPillow, because it's washable, because dead skin, dirt, skin oils, dust mites, they can cause allergies and acne and asthma and who knows what else. And that's what happens when you don't change pillows every 2 years or just order and use a washable MyPillow. Your dad deserves one, and so do you. So go to MyPillow.com, type Amy in the promo code 2, MyPillows for the price of one. Or you could go old school and call the 800 number, 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Keep one for yourself and give one to Dad.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool?
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to a former deputy director of the FBI about what the FBI could do better when investigating suspected terrorists. That's at 8:08.
And did Disney do enough to warn their guests that alligator attacks? We'll give you an update. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, the latest on a suspect seen in a Facebook video choking a Chicago police officer being released by CPD. A bicyclist killed after running into a tour bus on Michigan Avenue. The governor warns road projects could stop without a budget. And the Nats nipped the Cubs in 12. Breezy and less humid today. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They're still training terrorists, and ISIS wants to send more of them to the West to stage attacks. That's what the CIA director is about to testify at a Senate hearing. Now, the U.S. keeps attacking ISIS from Iraq and Syria. Fox's Simon Owen was just embedded on the USS Harry S. Truman, now live on the Greek island of Crete.
Dave, we spent 2 days on board the aircraft carrier as its planes conduct airstrikes on ISIS targets. The Truman just had its deployment extended by a month, meaning 8 months at sea for many of the 5,000-strong crew. Petty Officer Elisha Chastain tells me it's just part of the job.
You can either look at it one or two ways. Either you're going to stay out here and you're going to bring the fight to them, or you can go ahead and go home a month early and let them bring it to you. So I'm happy to stay out here and bring it to them.
The Navy saying the Truman has launched more than 1,800 combat flights since November. Dave?
Simon, Democrats filibustered at the Senate until 2 a.m. over gun control.
Furious that somehow someone's right to own a gun is more important than my child's right to life.
Senator Chris Murphy led the push, wanting to expand background checks and ban sales to anyone on a terror watch list, something presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump says he'll discuss with the NRA. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says,
I believe you shouldn't be able to buy a gun, but have a process to challenge that determination. So that's where Mr. Trump is going. Mr. Trump is on the right road to trying to find a middle ground.
4 days after the nightclub terror attack in Orlando, President Obama is going to go there. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president and vice president will meet with families of the victims of the mass shooting and also spend time talking to survivors.
The president's visit is about offering comfort and support to a community that's grieving.
White House spokesman Josh Earnest, lawmakers, meanwhile, have asked Facebook to assist the FBI in its investigation. Dave?
This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Clouds have rolled in. We have 68 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. There is a beach hazard warning put up by the National Weather Service beginning at 11 a.m. today, lasting until 3 a.m. Friday, with high wave action expected on Lake Michigan and strong rip currents near the Lake Michigan shore. A suspect seen in a Facebook video choking a Chicago police officer and being kicked in the head by another during an arrest has been released without charges being filed. His attorney, Michael Oppenheimer, spoke to reporters yesterday.
They made the right move in releasing him without charges. I am asking, and I believe based on the 2 videos that we have seen, that not only disciplinary actions be taken against that police officer and anybody involved with him, but that there be a criminal investigation.
Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson has placed that officer on desk duty. The state budget impasse threatening to put the brakes on state road construction projects Exactly where? We get that detail from AM 560's David Stewart.
IDOT Secretary Randy Blankenship Governor Rauner Wednesday to say that without some kind of a short-term spending plan in place before next month, 800 road projects will have to be shut down.
But without stopgap funding proposed by the governor, I'm afraid we are on a collision course with having to shut down projects throughout the state in the matter of a few short weeks.
And he said $600 million for local government projects is in jeopardy as well. Rauner wants votes on his versions of stopgap spending plans, and he accused the Democrats of creating a crisis, so an income tax hike is needed. David Stewart, Chicago.
A bicyclist is dead after running into a tour bus. Police say the collision happened yesterday when the victim ran a red light near Michigan Avenue and Oak. Chicago transportation officials say an emergency repair caused major delays during rush hour on Lakeshore Drive near 47th because of a concrete buckle. And the coordinator for Chicago's upcoming Gay Pride Parade says organizers are hiring dozens more off-duty officers than they did last year, after city officials asked them to beef up security in the wake of the massacre at a gay nightclub in Florida. Washington nipped the Cubs 5-4-12. Sox beat Detroit 5-3, staking Chris Sale to win number 11. And the Carolina Hurricanes have acquired Blackhawk forwards Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle. The news service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas. Original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Hillary Barsky.
From the Fox Business Network, markets are down for a 5th straight day. Investors are putting aside the Fed's interest rate decision and are focused now on next week's vote on whether Britain will exit the European Union. And speaking of which, the Bank of England is keeping its key interest rates on hold amid heightened uncertainty over whether the country will leave the EU. A strike by Macy's workers has been averted. Workers at Macy's flagship store in New York City and the company reaching a tentative contract deal this morning after threatening to strike if contract negotiations failed. The current contract expired at midnight Wednesday. The store is a Manhattan tourist hotspot and hasn't had a strike since 1972. Uber is extending to more than giving customers just a ride. The company demonstrating its global ambitions and is expanding its food delivery business in Europe. The car-hailing company introducing Uber Eats in London today. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
Personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge.
Dave Ramsey.
The reason you're in debt is behavior, not math. The way you get out of debt is behavior, change, not math. You can't borrow your way out of debt. How many times have you heard someone say, I had a whole bunch of credit card debt and I paid it off by getting a second mortgage? You didn't pay it off, you moved it.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weeknights starting at 7, right before Michael Medved at 10. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagell, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Here's an idea. Instead of waiting for your boss to give you a raise, give yourself one by refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans. You could add hundreds of dollars each month to your bottom line, like a boss. Call 800-QUICKEN today or visit us online at QuickenLoans.com. A Quicken Loans refinance gives you the financial power to enhance your life and pursue your passion. Our passion is client service. Here's the proof. For 6 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN and buy in. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power. Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
It's 8:08 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Delays on northbound 355 and 53 run from 75th to Beesterfield after a crash. Southbound very slow from Algonquin to 290. Edens runs 25 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 35. The Kennedy, 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. The Ike, an hour and 15 minutes either way between Thorndale and downtown. The Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 27 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Tri-State, southbound slow 176 to 60. And from the Toohey Toll to Irving Park, northbound from 111th to 47th. From Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Breezy with clouds and sun today, less humid with a high 76, a mainly clear night, low 60. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high 82 and a moonlit night, low 60. Then Saturday mostly sunny with a high of 84. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare, cloudy skies. Next news at 8:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is powered by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping the lights on through summer storms.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Should there be signs warning, beware alligators?
One of the things that they'll work with Walt Disney World will work with Florida Wildlife Commission to make a determination what is the best practices that they can employ.
It was at 2:45 when I had just received the phone call of someone claiming to be the Orlando shooter. He started saying that he did it for the Islamic State, he did it for ISIS.
Gun-free zones are the most dangerous places in America because gun-free zones provide safe spaces for killers.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So learning a lot more about the Orlando killer with each passing day, as well as his family members. We learned, and we just spoke with Catherine Herridge from Fox News last hour about reminding us what he said in one of the 911 calls he made while he was massacring people, that he pledged solidarity with the important point that needs to be understated, particularly as we think about what the FBI did or didn't do with their two investigative looks at the killer in 13 and 14, right?
Yeah, that's one. Investigated.
And he, in one of those 911 calls, pledged solidarity with a fellow congregant to the mosque he attended that was the American-born Syrian suicide bomber.
Yeah, the first one, the first American suicide bomber.
And that was the second investigative look the FBI delved into with respect to the Orlando killer, his what that mosque was all about, his associations in that mosque, including with that other terrorist, and concluded effectively there was nothing to see here and had to move on.
Pretty scary stuff.
Well, it calls into question. I mean, I'm, as I mentioned earlier this week, I'm reticent to criticize the FBI. I don't pretend to have working knowledge of the difficulty of their job, the resources they have versus the job they're asked to do. But they did have two bites at the apple with this guy. And while I respect what Jim Comey and what he had to say about trying to identify pieces of hay that are going to turn into needles in a nationwide haystack, you did have two chances. And so does it suggest that the FBI should change protocols, procedures with respect to with respect to investigations of this nature. Well, for more on that, we're joined by somebody who does know the intricacies of the job. He is John Pistole. He's the president of Anderson University, Christian Liberal Arts College in Anderson, Indiana. But he's also the former deputy director of the FBI and TSA administrator.
Wow.
And we're happy to have Mr. Pistole join us now. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be with you this morning.
So why don't we start there with the FBI and kind of give your review of what Director Comey had to say earlier this week, that essentially we did everything we could do, and he wouldn't have done anything differently based on the constraints of the job, versus what we're coming to learn about kind of the long-running radicalization of the Orlando killer.
Well, I think there's a couple of key points that need to be looked at, and I think that's what Director Comey is doing. I think there will be a review much more extensive than what's known in the immediate aftermath of the event, of the attack. And so the two key factors that the FBI has to deal with are, one, the resources, which there's been some talk about that, and then second, just the rules of engagement, if you will, which are defined by what's known as the Attorney General Guidelines. And those Attorney General Guidelines dictate basically what FBI personnel can do in terms of investigating, particularly a U.S. citizen, as he was in this case. And there are certain restrictions and limitations on how long an investigation can be conducted, what type of investigative activity, how invasive or how intrusive, for example, and then what has to be done with that if, for example, the person hasn't broken any laws, if they are deemed to be expressing First Amendment protected free speech, or just what. So that's on the legal side of things. And any agent, look, I was an agent for almost 27 years and oversaw, as head of counterterrorism, oversaw these investigations. Every agent and analyst who is involved is very attuned to these guidelines and want to make sure that not only unintentionally but clearly you don't intentionally violate one of those, because then you get back to days when the FBI was not governed by Attorney General guidelines.
So you're saying the FBI is limited by government mandates?
Sure. Yeah. So there's not. I think there's a sense that the FBI has unlimited authorities and powers to investigate anybody, to do searches and surveillance and wiretaps and on whomever they want, and that's simply not the case. And the fact is, there are thousands of people that come to their attention, usually through concerned colleagues, coworkers, friends, family, and things, to say, I'm a little bit concerned about this person.
But in this case, with the Orlando killer, they did those things. They ran informants at him. They did surveil him, that at least for the first investigation, the 10-month investigation. And I guess the question is it possible that a mistake or an oversight was made in not kind of delving down a few layers, going back further into his past to talk to former classmates, to talk to former teachers, look at some of his habits in terms of videos he was consuming and associations he had. I mean, that to me, in knowing that he got to their radar and they put resources into him, I guess the ultimate question is, how did they not see what was happening?
Sure. Well, and this gets to, how do you predict the future? And if somebody who espouses hatred of the government or has radical political views, obviously that's not against the law. And if somebody, again, hasn't broken the laws, then the question is, what is their future state? And because if you're a U.S. citizen, the FBI has to balance under the rule of law, the protection of civil liberties and privacy, and balance that, if you will, on the scales of justice against preventing terrorist attacks. And so when they did the interviews, when they talked to other people, did that surveillance and things that you mentioned, the judgment was made that he did not pose a current or immediate future threat, is what the determination had to be. And so could they miss something? Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what Director Comey is doing, is doing such a deep dive scrub of everything to say, did we miss something? Could we have done something more? And really distinguishing between those who might be considered an aspirational terrorist, who, big talk, a lot of bravado and everything, and an operational terrorist, somebody who has made a decision to go ahead and commit a terrorist attack. And it's a fine line oftentimes between radicalization and going from aspirational to operational. And so the question is, can the FBI anticipate and prevent every one of those? Because sometimes the first criminal act that the person commits is in the commission of the terrorist attack.
But if you're under investigation a second time, shouldn't that put you on some type of list so you are more scrutinized if you try to buy a weapon, possibly on the no-fly zone? I mean, was he on the terrorist watch list and then taken off of it?
Yeah, so if the investigation's open, typically a person would be put on the terrorist watch list, but when the investigation is closed, under these guidelines, the person has to be removed. Now, the question about the gun purchase is a good one because, unfortunately, people who are on the terrorist watch list can still purchase guns in certain situations today, and Congress is obviously looking at that, and I think that clearly needs to be changed, that if you're on the terrorist watch list, you should not be able to purchase a weapon. Unless there's some adjudication to say, okay, we've had this investigation open, it's not going anywhere, it was just a disgruntled co-worker who said some negative things or whatever. So there's got to be some redress process.
Right, some due process, right?
Yeah, but clearly if you are, even as an aspirational terrorist, I have concerns about people being able to buy weapons like that. But clearly if you're operational, and there are I think Director Comey's mentioned, there are a number of those people, and perhaps 1,000 investigations in the U.S. and every state in the country that investigation into some ties to Islamic State. So the question is, the second part, in addition to legal authorities, is the resources that the FBI has. And look, it's about the size of the Chicago Police Department in terms of number of agents. And you spread that out over 50 states, and then try to prioritize. So the other aspect of the Attorney General guidelines says you can only keep an investigation open certain types, for example, for 6 months, and then you have to get approval if you need to extend it. But during that time, you have limited resources, so they have to prioritize, say, what rises to the greatest level of concern, and obviously if there is an operational terrorist, then that gets 24/7 physical, electronic, all the different types of surveillance, informants, and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of good news, bad news, right? I mean, Jeff Sessions made the point this weekend, 570 individuals have been convicted or indicted on terrorist-related charges since 9/11. So it's not like the FBI isn't doing anything. We don't want to present that to be the case. That's simply not true. Also, I mean, they had information about the Boston bombers, the Tsarnaev brothers. Right. They had information about Orlando. So it's kind of like neighborhood, wrong street. And so it's the question of not the whole haystack, but when you zero in on potential needles, what were the mistakes made in Boston that now seem potentially to have been made again in Orlando?
Well, and that's the question, is that the FBI and others, obviously Congress is looking at. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of commission appointed to do a review. And I've been through several of those during my time at the FBI, and it's a very thorough assessment. And look, people do make mistakes. It usually comes down to a question of judgment. At the time that the decision's made to close an investigation, what did the FBI know, and what was the extent of that knowledge, and what was the basis of that knowledge? Was it credible information? Was it, again, just somebody spouting off or just saying things, as I think the Orlando shooter, that's what the assessment was, that, again, several years ago. The question is what happened in the last several days, weeks, and months that he went from aspirational to operational.
As a former TSA administrator, can you tell us how somebody is placed on the no-fly list, since that's being debated right now?
Yeah, sure. There's the U.S. Intelligence Committee community and the law enforcement community, Homeland and FBI and others, nominate individuals to the terrorist watch list and the no-fly list, and it's called secondary selectee screening list. There is an entity called the Terrorist Screening Center that assesses all that and evaluates, and then makes a decision whether to put somebody on the terrorist watch list overall, and then a subset being the no-fly list. And then that person, as long as there's credible derogatory information about that person, they remain on that list. As soon as there's a determination made that derogatory information was inaccurate or is no longer exist, then they might be removed. So yeah, there's a thorough interagency process for vetting and nominating and vetting, and then putting somebody on the no-fly list.
He is John Pistole. He's the president of Anderson University, liberal arts Christian school in Indiana, and he's the former deputy director of the FBI and TSA administrator. Mr. Pistole, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet, Dan. Amy, take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up, we're gonna have something. We're gonna talk about the newest information about Omar Mateen, and he was apparently sexting someone. Real Anthony Weiner here. But first, here's your forecast. It's going to be less humid today, cooler. We're going to have some mostly cloudy skies today, a high of 74 degrees. Then we're going to have a string of gorgeous days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No complaints here. Partly sunny, pleasant most days, highs in the low 80s. Travel times. Here's Jim Delamonte.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning. We're still seeing significant delays on 355 and 53 in both directions after earlier crash near Biesterfield. I-80 eastbound stop and go LaGrange Road to 183rd, with the crash still there on the left shoulder. Edens Expressway inbound 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 30. The Kennedy running 50 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 45. The Eisenhower's an hour and 15 minutes either way between Thorndale and downtown. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Southbound Tri-State, heavy 176 to 60. Then it's slow around the Irving Park Toll. Northbound delays from 111th to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Jim Talamonte and the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Misdemeanor Wiener.
Oh, June.
Alrighty there.
June is Men's Health Awareness Month.
Wow. Say it like you mean it, Dan. What is June? June's a lot of things. It's LGBT month.
It's Men's Health Awareness Month.
And that too.
I said. So, guys, excuse me, Amy, I'm talking to the men. Don't put off things you can accomplish today, especially when it comes to your health.
I feel like a man today.
Okay. If you're like me, I don't know. Then would wear that little golf skirt you got on. If you're like me, you hate going to the doctor, but if you knew your appointment would take less than an hour and that you could feel better and have more energy, you would probably make it a priority. That's what Low T Center can do for you. They make it easy to get your levels checked. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their in-house certified lab, you know your results within 20 minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T levels make you feel tired and grumpy and can raise your cholesterol and weight. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for results, and their services are covered by most health insurance. So make your health a priority and call Low T Center today at 630-581-5171. Tell them Dan Prof sent you. That number, 630-581-5171, or go to lowtcenter.com.
You can hit it, run into it, knock it over, and it still won't fall over. What is this, you ask? It's the Wobble Light by ProBuild. It's a self-righting, portable, and virtually indestructible industrial work light. Ideal for applications requiring temporary high-output lighting for construction, manufacturing, utility, and much, much more. The Wobble Light, the brainchild of ProBuild Professional Lighting, is the only self-right job site light available in the market. If you're in an industry that requires professional-grade portable lighting, turn to Chicago's very own ProBuild Professional Lighting, manufacturers of portable job site lighting, designed for the pros. To view their catalog and much more, visit ProBuiltLighting.com. All lighting products are sold through construction, industrial, and electrical supply distributors. So ask for the Wobble Light by ProBuilt Professional Lighting. Visit ProBuiltLighting.com. A proud supporter of Operation Support Our Troops America and AM 560. For customer service, call 877-707-0800.
I have struggled with irritable bowel syndrome for 40 years. Really struggled with it. And I want you to know that since I have been taking Balance of Nature, I don't have it anymore. After 40 years, I'm 75 years old, and after 40 years of struggling with this, and, early on taking all kinds of medication and this, that, and the other thing, back in October, I was able to cancel my appointment with the gastroenterologist. Your products have made my life, they have improved the quality of my life so tremendously. I can't I can't be grateful enough. So please thank you all, and please, if you ever have a chance to, please thank Dr. Howard.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Let not your heart be troubled. Listen to me, Sean Hannity. I'll have the latest news and what it all means for you. It's coming up at 2 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we've got some breaking news. I'm sure Mike Scott will have more details at the bottom of the hour, but a female Labour member of Parliament in England has been shot twice and stabbed as she met with constituents in West Yorkshire. The witness is describing a makeshift gun that a man pulled out and fired at this member of Parliament, 41-year-old Joe Cox, in West Yorkshire. So we'll have more information on that attack as it becomes available.
And speaking of new information, while you were sleeping, we found out that Omar Mateen, the crazed gunman, made 3 phone calls. Of course, he called 911. He called a local newsroom. And now we're learning that he called, quote unquote, a male friend to say goodbye, and that's all that the authorities are telling us about that. But some man has come forward. His name is Cord Sedino, and he said that Omar Mateen, he met him on gay websites, but that he was sexting his friend.
From the Adam for Adam app, one of my friends, actually, he's been speaking with him since 2007, on and off, year and year at a time. And he sent him a picture of his private part, and my friend actually was attracted to him. He almost went and hooked up with him.
Brother.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, S-A-U-L.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Lifting the ban on blood donations from gay persons. Good idea? Bad idea? We'll have it at 8:38.
And later, did Disney do enough to warn their guests? We'll explain. But first, let's go into the newsroom with the latest breaking news, especially from overseas. Here's Mike Scott.
Well, we have 2 stories coming from London this morning. Unconfirmed reports say Joe Cox, as Dan mentioned, a member of Parliament, was shot and stabbed. A man also thought to have been stabbed in that incident. That man was trying to defend the Labour Party MP, and she was holding an event at a library before that attack. The 52-year-old man had been arrested. The member of Parliament taken by air ambulance to a hospital, the Leeds General Infirmary, and armed police have arrived outside that hospital this morning. Meantime, a statement from British investigators say they've identified several main locations of the wreckage of the Egypt Air flight. A deep-sea research vessel also sent back the first images of the wreckage of that flight, MS-804, flying from Paris to Cairo. Senators will vote on a pair of gun control measures after a nearly 15-hour filibuster ended.
There is a newfound imperative for this body to find a way to come together and take action, to try to do our part to stem this epidemic.
That's Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy. Republican leaders, he says, have agreed to hold votes on a bill to ban those on the terror watch list from getting gun licenses and one that expands background checks. The president visits Orlando today. Meantime, a massive search is underway after 3 college students were reported missing at Everglades National Park. They have not been heard from, according to authorities. And authorities say they've recovered the body of a toddler dragged under by an alligator into the waters at a lagoon at the Walt Disney Resort.
Members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office dive team located what is believed to be the remains of the deceased, a 2-year-old.
Orange County Sheriff Jerry Demings identifies that body as that of Lane Graves of Nebraska. We're watching Wall Street this morning. First-time jobless claims are up sharply. The Labor Department reports this morning 277,000 filed initial claims for unemployment benefits last week. The coordinator for Chicago's upcoming Gay Pride Parade says organizers are hiring dozens more off-duty police officers than they did last year after city officials asked them to beef up security. And Naperville police are searching for a group of suspects who are accused of damaging cars in a downtown parking garage. 6 men and 1 woman were caught on surveillance cameras, and a $1,000 reward is being offered for information that leads to their arrest. Washington nipped the Cubs 5-4-12. White Sox back Chris Sale to win number 11, 5-3 over the Tigers. The news, a service of GNC. Fuel your summer fun at GNC. Top products to fuel every athlete are buy one, get one half off. Fuel your training, fuel your recovery, fuel your wallet at GNC. Buy one, get one half off store-wide. Mix and match now through June 27th at GNC. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher reacts to the Orlando terrorist attack.
There's got to be some common ground here between looking the other way, turning a blind eye to somebody who might very well do what this monster, this savage, this horrible terrorist did, and appreciating and accepting those Muslims who aren't willing to support or condone this in any way, shape, or form.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Everyone is making predictions about who Donald Trump will pick as a vice presidential running mate. And here at AM 560, we're raising the stakes a little bit. So check this out. If you correctly guess Donald Trump's running mate, you can win $560. That's right. Enter our $560 Veeps contest between now and June 24th. And if your prediction is correct, guess what? You win $560 plus a $50 gift card from the Trump Winery. 2 easy ways to enter. You can fire up that AM 560 mobile app on your smartphone and enter the contest that way, or go to 560theanswer.com/Trump to enter online. It's easy. Complete rules are online at 560theanswer.com/Trump. Enter today. It's going to be huge, and good luck.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right
that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with the C. Or visit CertaPro.com today, CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
8:38 at our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's inbound 22 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose outbound 33. The Kennedy 56 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 50. The Eisenhower an hour and 25 minutes from Thorndale to downtown. An hour 10 from Manheim. Outbound an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow, 111th to 47th. Then from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, eastbound Adams Tollway slow, Bartlett to Roselle, also heavy at 53. Reagan Tollway delays to the Myers Toll to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial, 75th to the Reagan Tollway. And Butterfield up to Beesterfield after a crash. Southbound, it is stop and go from Algonquin to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Breezy, less humid. Clouds and sun today, high 74, currently cloudy and 70. Next news at 9, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by M.J. Miller & Company Jewelers. June is all about pearls at M.J. Miller in downtown Barrington.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get to this issue of lifting the deferral period for accepting blood donors who are gay.
And lesbian and bisexuals.
Well, okay, all of the above. But before we do that, and this is a move by your congressman with the Little Rascals haircut. What's his name?
Yeah, my Congressman Mike Quigley,
he's
who was
cute.
out there in the district
Yeah.
touting this new legislation
One of
that he
these-
authored.
One of these fake reformers who endorsed Todd Stroger for Cook County Board President. But we'll get to him in a second. We were just talking about a no-fly list, no-fly, no-buy, and the things being debated in the Senate yesterday. Let's go to Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning. I am opposed to any terrorist getting any kind of permission to buy or carry a weapon. But the idea of the no-fly list, to me, is not the solution. It scares me because people are put on the no-fly list with very little information that they have access to. It's also very difficult to get off of the no-fly list. And I see that as the ultimate backdoor way for even more legislation to be passed, that it's a creeping erasure of the Second Amendment and, quite frankly, other amendments as well. I mean, Amy, you were off the rails Monday with your high capacity magazines and everything else that you were talking about. It would be so easy to limit free speech by saying people who are on other lists would be prohibited from saying certain things. If there is going to be some sort of prohibition like that, I think there need to be people involved in the process who are absolutely pro guns. Like, for instance, why not have NRA members of the NRA's choosing, not the other people's choosing, to be part of that process in reviewing people? Because I guarantee you, the Second Amendment protects all the other amendments. You start neutering us. I lived in England for 3 years. I know what it's like to have a neutered society with no rights, no access to protection, and in fact being prosecuted when people have defended themselves, when their homes are broken into and they attack the break-in people. They're prosecuted for that. It is a wrong way to go, people. Be very careful before you assign yourselves some sort of okay to these kinds of procedures.
Thanks, Ralph.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
That ended quickly. Now, and to Ralph's point, the reason why I was so upset Monday was I was talking about high-capacity magazines and how what happened in Tucson with when he was changing magazines, he got tackled, and that's how that gunman was stopped before he killed more people. But anywho, weather today, we're going to have a lot of clouds, a lot of sun, too, mixed in there. Breezy, less humid, a high only of 74 degrees. Then tomorrow, partly sunny, pleasant, a high of 82. Let's see if there's any traffic tie-ups. Here's Jim Telemonte.
All right, Amy, it's tied up on 53 and 355. Northbound delays are from Butterfield most of the way to Beesterfield after an earlier crash, and southbound it's stop and go from the Adams Tollway, I-90 to Beesterfield. Northbound Tri-State delays are from 111th to 47th, then from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow in pockets, and Bartlett Road in 53. Reagan Tollway slow from the Myers Toll to the Eisenhower. On the Edens, 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 33. The Kennedy, 56 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, an hour 10 from Manheim, outbound an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. The Ryan is 28 minutes from 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Here's the hottest concealed carry deal available right now while supplies last. I'm reading Shrink's Smoke and Gun. That's not the one. Where's Black Rhino Concealment?
It's in there. Try the last page.
How about this? See if we can get anything working in here. What's your caliber? Black Rhino Concealment knows many AM 560 listeners carry or plan to and want the best holsters. For concealed carry, range practice, or competitive shooting, Black Rhinos are comfortable and safe. Every holster is handcrafted by veterans of 100% virgin Kydex with American-made fasteners. From precision fit and finish to secure retention and quick draw, a Black Rhino is the finest holster at a modest price. Backed by a lifetime material warranty and workmanship guarantee, Black Rhino has tactical carrier and concealed carry systems for every caliber. You and your firearm deserve a Black Rhino. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms, and Black Rhino protects those arms. Black Rhino Concealment, we hold your caliber against you. Visit blackrhinoconcealment.com or call 847-783-6499 for showroom info. Use the promo code AM560 for a 10% discount on your first order. That number, 847-783-6499.
Is your balance off due to a head injury? Is your head injury due to sports, auto accident, military service, a trip, slip, or fall? Get back on track. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are conducting a clinical research study and are in need of participants who have difficulty with balance as a result of their head injury. If you're between the ages of 18 and 65, have experienced a mild or moderate head injury over 1 year ago, and now have difficulty with balance, you may qualify. Please visit headinjurytrial.com for more information and to find out if you qualify for this clinical research opportunity. Limited space is available, so please visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652. Compensation of up to $2,000 is available for qualified participants. Visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, we'll get your call through on 264-250-600 if I keep my computer screen up here. But Amy, on the issue of the FDA has changed their policy as of the end of last year. It used to be a lifetime ban on gay people,
Gay and bisexual men.
donating blood.
Yes.
And this was HIV prevention. It's a policy that dates back to the early 80s, the height of the AIDS epidemic, right?
Arthur Ashe, Ryan White. I mean, there's many people that were infected that it could have been prevented.
And if, according to the FDA, because of that ban, the incidence of contamination, HIV, the transference of HIV by blood transfusion, to be just specific about it, it went from about 1 in 2,500 then to 1 in 1.47 million today. By the way, the 1 in 1.47 million still has me a little creeped
Right, because
out.
how'd you like to be that one?
I mean, I know it's a 1 in a million chance, but yeah. But now the suggestion from Congressman Quigley and others is that the FDA's new policy, which is they'll accept blood from gay and bisexual men, but only if they have been celibate for at least a year.
Yeah, it's a 12-month deferral or celibacy period.
So he's suggesting that's a problem.
Yeah, and he said, considering what happened in Orlando, and you remember those long lines to donate blood, 1,500 plus people lined up to give blood. And he said, given that the target and nature of the timing of this tragic attack, the LGBT community is especially eager to contribute in the response effort. So he's authored some legislation to make some changes.
I think you have to remember that time in which there was literally a crisis, and there was a lack of understanding. There was a lack of science and screening. Literally no one knew what the disease was at the beginning or how it was transmitted. Clearly we have a great understanding now. We have excellent testing, improved screening, and we understand what we're dealing with here. The policy remains.
So he basically is saying that gay men, bisexual men are being discriminated against because they can't donate blood right now today, that they have to have this 12-month waiting period. And I'm okay with the 12-month waiting period because, again, you could be that 1 in 1 million who becomes infected. And nobody wants to be that 1 in 1 million. And 12 months is fine. But he pointed out, too, during this press conference that he knows couples that have been committed to each other for 30 plus years, and that heterosexual men have multiple partners, and some of them are shooting up with heroin with dirty needles, and they're more at risk to transport HIV through blood donation than gay couples.
Yeah, and it's a bit of apples oranges comparison, which is I know something Mike Quigley likes to do. But I would say this, I would go where the science leads. I mean, if that 1 year, just like we talk about the arbitrary and capricious nature of government with respect to so many things, why 1 year? Is there some scientific reason for 1 year? Or does it have to do something with the incubation period for the HIV virus? Because at least according to the articles I've read, it doesn't have to do with the incubation period. The tests they have now, the Intercept blood system that the FBI adopted, the FDA adopted, so many acronyms, the FDA adopted 2 years ago, they can test viruses that are in the blood system within kind of 2 weeks, so they can kind of identify, regardless of perhaps a longer incubation period, they can identify them early with some precision. So if the science suggests there's no benefit to the 1 year waiting period, if you will, then no, I wouldn't support it. If a gay man, if I needed blood in a gay man whose blood passes all of the protocols that the FDA uses and the American Red Cross uses, wanted to donate blood, and that blood was something that I needed, okay.
But we don't get a choice. We don't really know who's giving the blood, because that's the problem. Because I have operations, you need blood, and you don't know where that blood's coming from.
Well, the point is the testing regime the FDA uses. So whether it's a gay person or somebody that's a intravenous drug user, okay, that's a little bit closer comparison. In terms of risk, if that is all fleshed out, if that's all vetted by the FDA's testing system, which is what the scientists are seeming to say it is, then why the 1 year waiting period? I mean, I frankly, I see Quigley's
politicians
point.
put that in there to make it look like they care.
Well,
That's what I think originally.
Or also, too, I mean, when something is no longer relevant, there's always this kind of ramp down. You can never kind of make you can never, but the instinct is not to make a wholesale change, even if it completely comports with the science or the logic of the day, as compared to the illogic or the lack of science undergirding a particular policy. It's just to do it piecemeal. Well, if it's safe, then it's safe. If it's not, then it's not. And the quality of the science should dictate the policy. That's all I'm saying. So to some extent, I'm sympathetic to the point that Quigley makes. Neil in LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I just have a comment about, you guys were talking about banning the high-capacity magazines. When you ban those, only the law-abiding citizens are going to follow the rules. The bad guys are always going to get them. They're out there. So you limit my ability to protect myself. I want to be able to buy at least close to the same technology that the bad guys have so I can defend myself. Yeah. And that's all. And I bet, as tragic as that event was in Orlando, I bet you that nightclub had one of those little bitty white stickers on the door saying no guns allowed,
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually did.
Thanks for the call, Neil. Well, here's the other thing about that. This is not a fairy tale world in which we live. 270 million guns in circulation in America. So the idea of these bans based on cosmetic capacity of magazines, it's self-delusion. It's doing something to make yourself feel like you're doing something, but it will have no material impact on enhancing safety. So we can have the conversation about, should we do something that gives us the ability to better delude ourselves into feeling safer, or do we want to do something that actually is related to enhancing safety? That to me is the choice in the conversation. And of course, the politicians in D.C., particularly on the left, are choosing the former for the latter. They enjoy the self-delusion. They enjoy presenting like they're doing something. They enjoy preening before the cameras and, frankly, seizing on a public that is afraid for political gain, which is about as cynical as you can be.
That's true, but some people are upset because it was, this assault rifle, and he did fire off 202 rounds, which they think he shouldn't have had access to in the first place because he was being interviewed in the past by the FBI. But how is that even possible to have a high-capacity magazine? What is it used for? How did it get on the streets? Wasn't that used for war? And how did that end up on the streets of, say, Chicago or New York or Philadelphia?
I need a couple of Advil.
Okay.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
No matter what type of business you're